Xbox On.
Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of July 30th, 2026, including Halo Campaign Evolved is here, so let's talk about it. Is it any good? A recent Xbox outage sparks outrage over the push to go all digital. Does a recent bump in Xbox hardware sales have any real significance? All that and more. On this week in Xbox history, in the year 2003, 23 years ago, Aquaman, The Battle for Atlantis was released for the original Xbox. Now, Aquaman, The Battle for Atlantis is a game I have no fucking memory of and didn't know existed, and am willing to bet you probably sucked total donkey dick, and it was developed by a studio I've never heard of called Lucky Chicken Games, and it was published by a publisher I've never heard of. Actually, no, I've heard of these guys, TDK Media Active. Now, I haven't, not that I've heard of them, I just recognize this publisher logo. Either that or it's just generic enough to look recognizable, if that makes sense. I don't know. Aquaman, the Battle for Atlas. Now, when I saw this on Moby Games, where I pulled this from the other night when I was putting the notes together, I was like, hey, I don't remember anything about this game. Let me look it up real quick. Weirdly enough, this game was only released for the GameCube and the Xbox. I don't know if it was released like at a later time for the PS2, and that's why it doesn't list this here, but everything I see online is just Xbox and GameCube. It's like, I'm trying to wrap my brain around this. Like, hey guys, let's make a game based on, think about the context of 2003. I mean, the MCU hasn't happened yet. Really, like the mainstream, the only superheroes anyone knows in the mainstream are like Spider-Man, X-Men, Hulk, if you're Marvel, and then over on DC, they know Batman, Superman, maybe Wonder Woman or Flash. Like, I mean, like this is like the majority of people's perception of like what a superhero is. So someone goes along and just makes an Aquaman video game for 2 platforms only, picking what are objectively, like by a lot, the least popular platforms. I mean, PlayStation 2 was so much bigger in terms of install base than both Xbox and GameCube combined, that, to make a video game about a superhero who is relatively obscure for the time for 2 platforms that have relatively small install bases. I mean, like it's like you're begging for this game to underperform. But I looked it up just to kind of see what the game looked like in action on YouTube. Holy shit, this game looks horrible. I mean, it has pretty much awful views across the board. Its Moby score from aggregate ratings is like a 3 out of 10 or a 1-star rating. And I saw this one video review where they were kind of like doing a retro, like what are they called? Fucking one of those retro whatever throwback videos, and they're like, you can't control the camera, everything is just the analog stick. So if you're swimming in water, and if you want to like turn around, you have to like swim up and do like a circle, and there's like zero control. I mean, this game looks fucking awful. And not to mention, and this is just personal bias, I say this as someone who really likes superheroes. Like, I love Marvel, I love DC, I love other non-Marvel DC stuff. I just love superheroes. I think superheroes are cool. Taking the idea of like ancient Greek and Roman gods, to me, like that shit's annoying and boring and lame as hell. But you take that and you put it in a modern setting and make it all totally fictional, like 100% fictional. Well, it's not to say Greek and Roman gods were, mythological gods were real. It's just to say, like people actually believed in those gods. You take a modern interpretation of that, all just for pure fun and entertainment, in the form of like, superheroes, 20th century and beyond superheroes. I love that shit. I'll eat it up all fucking day. I'm constantly reading comic books on my phone. I'm constantly watching the latest whatever the fuck Marvel just shat out. I don't care. I eat it all up. It all ranges from like good to great to me. To me, superhero shit is equivalent to pizza. It's all good. Some's better than others, but it's all good. But there are only 2 superheroes, like, and I'm mostly talking about DC and Marvel because that's where like 99% of people's superhero stuff comes from. But there are only like 2 superheroes that I really can't fucking stand in all of like DC and Marvel canon. And it's basically the same fucking character, but each version, each side's version, because, Marvel and DC, so many writers and artists and people go back and forth between the two throughout history that, basically for every Marvel character or DC character, there is a counterpart on the other side of the aisle. And Aquaman is definitely the bigger of the two, but on Team DC, you have Aquaman, and then on Marvel, you have Namor. And I think both of these characters fucking suck. I hate both these characters. And like there are some superheroes out there people hate. Like I know like a modern one people really hate, and this is more for bullshit, fake activist, nonsensical, faux political reasons, but like people hate She-Hulk. I don't hate She-Hulk. She-Hulk's cool. She's a really important character in the original version of the Secret Wars story. She's a cool comic book character. She's got a place in Marvel canon. I don't hate the She-Hulk show as much as a lot of other people did. I don't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad either. Like She-Hulk, she's fine. Leave her alone. People laugh. I can't believe Marvel's scraping the bottom of the barrel. They got a superhero named Ant-Man. Like I'm just thinking of like common examples of characters most people probably know these days. Maybe not the most popular. Nah, they're all fine with me. I got no problem. I don't give a shit if your superhero is based on a fucking penny someone found under a couch cushion or what have you. But to me, Aquaman and Namor both suck ass. Having little fucking gills and wings on your feet, running around being a king who can talk to dolphins under the water. That's lame as hell. Maybe this has to do with my deep-seated hatred of the ocean and everything that lies beneath it or within it. But yeah, fuck Aquaman. Fuck your video game. Fuck your fish. Fuck Jason Momoa, even though he's a fun actor and he's a handsome dude. Fuck him anyway. And fuck you if you like Aquaman. I mean, I watched the new Supergirl movie. There's another example. I mean, I don't think people dislike Supergirl. People like Supergirl. But the new Supergirl movie, I don't even think people dislike Supergirl. I think there's just a lot of fake outrage over that movie. But, like, that's an example. Like, I thought that movie was a lot of fun. I recently read the comic series it was based off of, like, a few months leading up to the movie coming out. I thought that was really good. Redemption opportunity, though. Jason Momoa plays Lobo in the new Supergirl movie. I thought he was fun as Lobo. I like Jason Momoa in that context. I like him in the new Fast and Furious movie. Thing about Jason Momoa is he's one of those actors that kind of plays himself. He's very Dwayne Johnson-like. I mean, this is how all these like strong guy wrestling dudes are. They all just kind of like play themselves, it feels like. Like Dwayne Johnson, I feel like the guy doesn't get enough, I don't know if criticism's fair. I don't really think he takes on roles that necessitate true criticism, because the guy's basically a glorified like G-rated Disney family like kind of oriented actor, but like the guy plays the same fucking role in every movie he does. I don't give a shit if he looks like the Moana guy or if he looks like the live action Moana guy because he's been in Moana so many times. I don't care if he's doing Fast and Furious. I don't care if he's doing Strong Guy Can't Dance. Whatever movie he's doing, Dwayne Johnson always just plays Vin Diesel from The Pacifier. Vin Diesel's another one of those guys. He's the same guy in every fucking movie, whether he's a talking tree in Guardians of the Galaxy or he's the family man from Fast and Furious. He's always the same fucking character. So I don't know. Jason Momoa, he is kind of in that camp, but I liked him as Lobo. He's just fine. He's fun. He's a wacky, goofy guy. He's handsome and he's entertaining. That's fine. But the second he pretends to be Aquaman, he makes my blood boil. And here's the worst part is I've seen both Aquaman movies. What is my excuse, man? I should burn my eyes out for having done that. But anyway, Aquaman, 23 years old. If you're looking for an OG Xbox deep cut, maybe you go on eBay and you see they have a copy. I don't know what this fucking game sells for. I never knew it existed. I wonder what the resale market for a game like that. Now I'm too curious. I gotta look it up. Guys. All right, so here we go. eBay. Battle for Atlantis. I bet GameCube shows up 5 times more often than Xbox. No. Okay, here we go. This is how beloved this game is. What the fuck? So, all right. No, that's new and sealed. Used on OG Xbox, you're looking at about $15 for buy it now. Yeah, it's a horrible resale value. People don't give a shit about this game. Look at this bid starting at $4. There's a new sealed in box copy for the GameCube, and that is going for $70. Buy it now. Brand new and sealed Nintendo GameCube. Lord have mercy on the soul of the bastard who decides to buy that. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad resale value. $15 at best on Xbox. I don't know. You might be able to lowball the seller. Let me know if you go for it, guys. All right, let's move on with our lives. Talk about notable game releases. You guys, we're going to kind of just jump into one of these here to start the show off, but There are two games of note really worth mentioning. The first one here is, of course, Halo Campaign Evolved. It is here. It is fresh. It is ready to go, you guys. Have you ever wondered, gee, I wish I could play a game that's 25 years old again for like the fifth time re-released? Well, boy, howdy, have we got an option for you. Halo Campaign Evolved. I got nothing to say about it because we're about to get right into it. Before we really go into the news, I actually want to talk about early impressions of this game. So we'll put a pin in that for now. Last week it came out if you had the early access for $20 additional. This week it's out for the regulars, the Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, the people like me who spent $50 on it, whatever have you. There you go. Go play Halo Campaign Evolved. We'll talk about it in a minute. All right. Other game that came out this week, which I cannot stress enough. Please go play this game. Please go play this game. Please, please, please go play this game. Speaking of superheroes, Dispatch is now out on Xbox. As of the time you're listening to the show, it's out now. This game came to PC and Nintendo Switch 2. I want to say February, that sounds right. Maybe it was a little earlier on PC. I don't know. It was very early this year. It came to PC and Switch. I played on Switch 2. I fucking love this game. It's so good. But now it has finally come to Xbox. I don't know. I honestly wasn't even 100% sure this game would come to Xbox because so many things skip Xbox now. I didn't have full faith in it, but I'm glad to see it did make its way to Xbox, and it is a play anywhere game. So I highly recommend, if you're an Xbox console, PC, handheld gamer, you definitely give this game a try if you haven't already, because it is superb. Basically, it is like a Telltale style game, one of those like animated TV show type games where you do more watching than you do playing, and then there's a lot of like decision making. So it's like you're watching it, choice, make a choice, respond to the dialogue, that kind of thing. And then there is some kind of like gameplay element to it. Basically, the synopsis is you play as this I forget what his name is. It's like some kind of like Mega Man, Ultraman, something like that. You're this kind of guy in like a mecha suit, and you're like, it's like a Batman type superhero where you don't have powers, you just have this tech that kind of makes you a superhero, and you're like the second generation of this superhero. You inherited it from your father, and it's kind of like your identity, but then you get like kind of the shit kicked out of you, and you kind of become like this disgraced hero, and you kind of recede into the shadows and walk away from the life, just to get pulled back in, all this time later from this other superhero chick who's kind of like a Superman type figure, and she pulls you in to work for this company that basically takes these like reformed like bad guys trying to like turn their lives around type of characters, and forms these teams where like you work in this call center type thing, and you're in charge of this like group of ex like villains, and you try to help them turn their lives around by like putting them, like reintegrating them into society so they can like do good, make up for past transgressions, try to be the good guys and like put out the fire, save the cat from the tree, save the person being mugged in the alleyway, whatever. And so there are these gameplay sections where you're like, like where all these calls are coming in, and you're like dispatching like, oh, this villain should go there to save the day. This guy should go there. Oh, this is the scenario. I wonder if maybe this guy is the guy to save. And there's like, it gets kind of in depth. It's kind of cool. It's light, it's puzzly, but it's very fun and easy to pick up and play. But that is like the one gameplay element. Otherwise, it's mostly just like a Telltale style game, or like one of those like, kind of like those episodic, point and click adventure type games where you do more watching and choice selecting than you do like actual gameplay. The game is broken up into like 5 or 7 chapters or something like that. But it is maybe a 8 to 10 hour experience. Very, very good. If you like superhero shit, I'd say if you like the show Invincible, this is like right up your alley. This seems like, you want like more like M-rated superhero tropey kind of shit. This game is so up your alley. You got to play it. It's I don't feel like I just did a good job even selling you on the game, but I will say I adore it. This is one of my favorite games I've played thus far this year, and I've played a lot of games. I've done a pretty good job this year of staying on top, not of my backlog, but of the games that have been coming out this year that I've wanted to play. And I will say this game is one that stands out pretty high on the top, towards the top of the list of things I've played in 2026. So that's Dispatch. You got some great games releasing between Dispatch and Halo. And hey, if you got to switch to Splatoon, Raiders just came out. That's another great one. Really good week for video games. All right, with that said, let's move into Halo. I just want to talk about Halo Campaign Evolved, do some light impressions. I thought, we'll throw it into what I've been playing, but it's like, Halo is Xbox. I feel like there's not a whole lot more that could be happening in the world of Xbox that would be more important to talk about than the new Halo game. And yes, this is a remake, and yes, this isn't like, I don't know, there's not too much to say about it. It's not like when Halo Infinite came out or anything, but it's still Halo. And yes, it's a lot of the wind is taken out of the sails of this game in my personal perspective, just by way of it being available on PlayStation. I think that's such a huge fucking that's such a gut punch, or I'll say that's a dick punch to the existence of this product. But I don't think that we should let that stop us from consuming and enjoying this game as fans of Xbox, of fans of Halo, people who will no doubt want to see, hopefully, a future for this franchise, which I'll spoiler alert, you're going to get a future for Halo. It's just, it's a tortured one. Let's put it that way. Anyway, I'm not really saying anything coherent, so let's hop right in. So this is all off the cuff. I didn't write any notes. Basically, Monday night, I pre-order it just so I can pre-download it, just so Tuesday when it comes out, it's ready to go. It's loaded up. We're good. So I pre-order it, and then I get home from work on Tuesday, and I boot this sucker up. What it is, what it is. I don't really have a lot of like video game time Monday through Friday, or Monday through Thursday, really. So I didn't really play a whole lot of it. All I did was fuck around the menus and then play the first level of the 3-level, bonus missions. So this game, for those who don't know, maybe it's basically just the single player of Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved. You can play it up to 4-player online co-op. There's no split screen co-op. There's no multiplayer, so there's no Slayer or any of that classic shit. For some reason, they just had to go lazy as hell on this game and just not include any of that. The only thing that's really worth noting that you could do with this game, other than just play the campaign, is it comes with this additional little 3-mission long mini campaign that's all new content. 3 brand new missions, this little side story that takes place right before the events of Halo 1, around the events of Halo Reach or so. And you play as Master Chief, and it's Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson, and it kind of explores those two characters' dynamic together, because Sergeant Johnson is a beloved classic Halo character from especially Halos 2 and 3. And so, Halo Studios goes, well, how can we milk the fuck out of this era of Halo? Well, it's like, give them what they want. Oh, people like Sergeant Johnson. Let's lean into that. All right, so let's get into this, because there's a lot of angles we can attack this from. Now, my plan is to play this bonus campaign, these new missions, and then when I'm done with them, I'm going to play all of Halo Campaign Evolved, play through, the original game all the way through, and then go back and play the new campaign missions again, these 3 new bonus missions a second time. Because I want, obviously new levels, new story content, new shit that is more exciting to me than just remaking the old game. But I gotta be honest, man, I feel so mixed about this game. Like, everything about this game, I feel so like it's half awesome, half like, what is this? So like, I don't know, man, like you boot this game up, it just has like a very like, it doesn't have like AAA first party like feel to it. The way it boots, the menus, the way the game looks and feels, it just feels very like another game. It feels like just any kind of like third party game. It feels like something Ubisoft or EA or whoever could have put out. It just doesn't have that like premium je ne sais quoi that you get from like a AAA first party game. That's a little bit of an intangible complaint. It's a little bit of a gripe. It doesn't matter all that much. But I mean, you basically get to the main menu of this game. You're like, this is it, huh? I mean, it's a $50 game. It's not a $70 product. So, I mean, I guess I'm not expecting the most like groundbreaking AAA next gen experience, but like, it's just is what it is. It's like, oh, hey, here's Halo 1 again. And I hop into that first bonus mission. And here's the thing, like, let's just talk roughly about the game right off the bat. I think the updated visuals and the updated graphics for this look pretty good. I don't think it looks like, oh my God, my socks are blown off. Like, I don't think it looks out of this world amazing. I don't really think, other than like, after Halo 4, really, I don't really feel like 343 Halo Studios have done a particularly good job of making games that look like out of this world. I feel like all their games just kind of look like really good, but that's about it. So nothing like boundary pushing. I know a lot of people had complaints with Combat Evolved Anniversary that came out in 2011, saying that they thought that update to Combat Evolved was took a lot of artistic liberties, and a lot of people don't like the way that game looked. I can kind of in hindsight agree with some of that, but for the most part, I fall in the camp of like largely unbothered by the way that game looked. especially because you could just hit the back button and switch back to the original look. But this game trying to more deliberately be a remake of the game rather than just a visual upgrade. You can't just switch between the old graphics and new graphics. You are locked into this new graphical style, new artistic direction. And I think for the most part, the game looks pretty good. I mean, I'm only one level in. I'm not going to speak too much to this. I'll have more to say about this next week when we talk about it again after I've presumably played through the whole experience. But I think the game looks good. I just don't think it looks mind-blowing. I've seen a lot of gripes and nitpicks about the, how like some artistic choices are not favorable. A lot of people complain about the audio mixing and the sound design and some of the music choices in this game. I haven't come in contact with any of that yet. I think the game looks and feels pretty good. My first complaint kind of visually comes from the we're running on Unreal Engine now kind of problem, where it's like, oh man, I know Cronky's like, Unreal Engine is it's not going to change the way the game feels. I get it. Physics wise and everything, it kind of feels like Halo. The camera's really stiff. You have to loosen up what am I trying to say? You have to loosen the sensitivity on the aim, because the game is really stiff when you first boot it up. But yeah, it feels like Halo, but there is something to it with like the loads and the way the game just sometimes processes stuff, where it just visually has this like overly shiny, I don't know how to put it, Unreal Engine kind of look and feel to it. I think there's just something cheap about taking something as proprietary as Halo and putting it as something as commonplace as Unreal Engine. Here, I'll liken it to something that basically nobody listening to this podcast will be able to catch the reference for, because it's a theme park nerd reference. But it's kind of like how, if you went to Disney World in 2005 and 1992 and 1987 and 2014, you go into any gift shop and you would see unique merchandise for that specific attraction or that land or that theme park that you're in. And it was all one of a kind merchandise that you could only get there in that specific gift shop, in that specific theme park, for that specific attraction or area of the park that you're in. And there was something special about it. I was like, wow, I'm in the gift shop for Tower of Terror, and they only have t-shirts and trinkets and toys and things like that you can only get in this gift shop. And all the merchandise has tags on it that say Walt Disney World, and it all is specific merchandise made for this place, by this place, for this place, and nowhere else, one of a kind. And nowadays, if you go to like a Disney theme park or Universal or whatever, you go into every gift shop and it sells the same boring, lame-ass, uninspired, regurgitative, if that's a word, regurgitated, nonsense Hasbro licensed Target, Walmart, lame-ass Star Wars merchandise you can get anywhere. You go to a fucking Disney shop. You could be at Disney's Animal Kingdom and you get off Kilimanjaro safaris. And you're like, wow, I just saw a herd of elephants and a pack of lions. I am amazed. That was an incredible adventure. And then you walk into the gift shop and they're trying to sell you a fucking t-shirt that has Baby Yoda plastered on it and says, Mondays are just not my thing. And then the tag says Target on it. And then the tag says Star Wars on it. And then the tag says fucking Hasbro Games on it. And then it's like $48 and the material's absolute dog shit. And then you come home from your Disney vacation a week later and you go to your local Target and you're like, hey, that's the same fucking shirt I saw at Disney World. I don't know why this was in the gift shop for the fucking attraction about seeing real life elephants and dragons and dinosaurs and shit, but that's cool, I guess. And that's kind of the feeling I get from Halo Campaign Evolved, and just the general decision to be like, hey, let's put Halo in Unreal Engine. It's like, you really aren't showing a whole lot of respect to this very proprietary, very sacred, very exclusive experience of yours. But then if I say that, I think that's indicative of a grander problem, which is that this game is available on the PlayStation, which is just, again, it's like going into the gift shop at Six Flags and seeing the same fucking Baby Yoda shirt from Walmart, from Disney World, from the Animal Ride, from the fucking adults only toy store, wherever the fuck you are, the same stupid Baby Yoda shirt that says, Mondays are just not my thing. May the Force not be with you this Monday. Ha ha ha. I'm useless without my second cup of coffee. Like, you see that same fucking t-shirt at the Six Flags gift shop that you're supposed to see only at the Disney gift shop. It's that kind of thing. It's like, there's just, you really water down the significance, the history, the proprietary nature, the special sauce, the AAA exclusive feel of Halo when you water it down and go, boop, now it's on PlayStation. And I know you don't care because you're Xbox and you're owned by Microsoft, and Satya Nadella is just chasing numbers because his priorities are making the world a worse place by helping the U.S. military invade foreign countries. Your priorities are make the world a worse place by injecting AI bullshit into every stretch and corner of the entire world where it doesn't need to be injected, and also take whatever the fuck you own under your possession and squeeze it for every goddamn penny you can squeeze. And unfortunately, Halo falls under that category where it is just another fucking notch in the portfolio, and they're just trying to squeeze it for every goddamn penny because under the Phil Spencer administration for years and years and years, Satya Nadella in leadership at Microsoft turned a blind eye and allowed the Xbox division to be run into the fucking ground to the point where the only way you can make any of this make sense is if you sell your fucking games on PlayStation. And now here we are. Halo isn't proprietary. It's not on its own unique technology. It's made by a team that is a fucking shell of a former company that is a shell of a former company, and it is made for your biggest competitor, and you're supposed to be you're pissing on my head and telling me it's raining by taking the game that created the Xbox platform and saying we are celebrating 25 years of Halo, 25 years of Xbox, and putting it on PlayStation. I don't understand. That's like saying, oh, it's my 25th anniversary with my wife. To celebrate, I'm going to cheat on her with the fucking guy next door or something. It's like, oh, okay. I guess that's one way to celebrate, you fucking babies. Listen, man. I understand there are people out there who don't care about exclusivity. They don't care about platforms. And to them, it's like, hey, the game's available to more people. Putting it on PlayStation makes it accessible to more people. That's great. I used to be a lot more pro that argument because I was very swayed into like the whole like, yeah, don't gatekeep things. It's like, this isn't really about gatekeeping. It's like, if you want Xbox to be special, to be a place, to have a unique identity, you gotta retain what makes you special. It's not gatekeeping to say that Walmart shouldn't sell great value at Target. It's like, both stores can sell fucking goldfish, but I want the shitty knockoff store brand version of goldfish crackers that come from Walmart to only be sold at Walmart, because if they're sold at Target, what's the point of fucking having Walmart if I can just go get it at Target? And that's where we are with Xbox, where it's like, I understand the financial implications, the fact that Phil Spencer and his team, and then the people ahead of him at Microsoft, between the CFO and the CEO and all the leadership at Microsoft, ran Xbox so fucking poorly from 2014 until earlier this year that they put Xbox so deep into the ground that they had no choice but to start begging PlayStation for money by whoring out their games on that platform. But the actual experience of finally seeing Halo after years and years and years of rumors and teases and what ifs, seeing your Mario Bros on the competitor's platform, even though we've known this is coming for a long time, even though people have speculated something like this would happen for years and years at this point, it doesn't change the fact that now that we're here, now that it's actually happened, now that I go to Metacritic and there are more reviews for Halo on PlayStation than there are for Halo on Xbox, just because we knew about this going into all this doesn't really take off the sting of how fucking weird and backwards it feels to see this. And I just think that this game is unfortunately going to become a victim of, regardless of how good or not good the game itself is, it has this heavy, thick layer of stink on it because it is just this cheap, soulish cash grab that absolutely betrays the identity and the spirit of Xbox as a platform and Halo as a franchise. And I'll say this right off the bat, having only played one level, I know this is a very premature judgment to make, and I look forward to hopefully being proven wrong as I play more and more of this game. I can immediately feel, just off playing that first level, while the first level looks pretty and is fun to play, and the Halo gameplay loop is still there, and the 10 seconds of fun loop is still there, and I'm still enjoying the game, and it's awesome that they have Halo 3 weapons, and Halo Reach weapons, and Halo 4 weapons, all included in the sandbox of Combat Evolved. I think that's fucking awesome. But when you put it all together and you realize, wow, these new missions are just like super stretched out hallway levels where it's like a 40-minute level where I'm basically in 3 rooms just fighting hordes and waves and waves and waves of enemies for no reason. And you realize, wow, the writing between Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson, the writing between the two characters is fucking horrible. And the performances given are fucking horrible. This new guy they have voice acting, Sergeant Johnson, no disrespect to him. He's a professional. He's out here to make a paycheck. He's just doing a job. He is horribly either cast or directed. His lines are horrible, and Master Chief is this is something people used to complain about in Halo 4 and 5. I think people are out of line with those games with this judgment, but I will say now is the time where finally this judgment is 100% warranted and necessary, which is that Master Chief is a chatty motherfucker in these new missions. It's like, what character is this? I understand that because there's no Cortana kind of doing the bulk of the talking for Chief. It's like maybe have Master Chief talk a little bit more, but it's like, no, motherfucker, that's not how this works, because if it's just Chief and Sergeant Johnson, that means Johnson should be doing the bulk of the talking. He's a chatterbox. Master Chief is the silent type. This is a perfect combination to put these two together. But for some reason, they got Chief and Johnson going back and forth like two boys in the locker room whipping each other with the towels. It's just so jarring and it's so out of character, horribly written. So that first level, it's like I was torn because there's some visual cues to it that I thought were really cool. There's it's fun. You know, the weapon variety I think is sick. Injecting that into the Halo Combat Evolved sandbox is fun. But by the end of the level, I was like, wow, this really is just like endless hallways of enemies and hordes of enemies. This is a little uninspired level design, and the character performances and writing are kind of fucking awful. And I was very disappointed with what I experienced. But in terms of just having fun, because I'm playing, you know, Halo Combat Evolved with modern amenities, with sprint, with new weapons, with all these different kind of abilities, controls, look and feel to it. I'm like, all right, this is cool. It's different. So don't get me wrong, because while I have all these negative thoughts and feelings, the other thing I felt simultaneously while I was playing this was like, oh yeah, even though Combat Evolved is my least favorite Halo, it's still Halo. Like, this is, again, the pizza thing. It's like, all pizza is good pizza. Some pizza is just better than others. But I started playing Campaign Evolved or whatever, and I was like, hey man, it's pizza. I won't complain. I had a genuine, a decent amount of fun playing the 45 minutes I played so far. I'm a little bit into the second mission of these 3 missions. I'll say so far, aesthetically, I think this second mission is fucking awesome. The first level, you're on this Covenant ship trying to steal, you know, a map or plans or whatever. It's some very borrowed Star Wars kind of nonsense story. But the second level looks like it's ripped right out of Halo 4. It's really fucking cool, this fun desert level. So I'm really excited to get back to it and explore more of it. I'm really hoping my takes become more and more positive as I spend the weekend intimately with this game. But I just got to be honest, off first blush, it's like, I'm having a hard time with this game because I feel like 343 was like a spiritual, a team that was spiritually birthed out of an inspiration and an evolution of what if those from Bungie that wanted to keep Halo going could take this IP and run with it in a post Bungie world. And then you think about what 343 has gone through from their assisted development days on Reach and tinkering around with engines and games by making Combat Evolved Anniversary, to actually making real Halo games with Halos 4 and 5, all the way to the downfall of their studio, the churning of employees, the tortured development that was Halo Infinite, the tortured post-release of Halo Infinite, the last 5 years of absolute ball dropping that studio's performed, and now the rebranding of Halo Studios, the absolute like recasting of its staff, and then all the way up to the release of this game. I realized like this is a total complete rebuild of what 343 was. Like, instead of saying 343 would never be Bungie, I feel like we're at a place where it's almost like, I don't know if Halo Studios will ever be 343. Like, we're that far removed at this part from Bungie's Halo. And I just hope that, you know, while I understand that this game is meant more than anything to be like a, let's get our feet wet, making Halo an Unreal Engine with a new team put together, I just really hope that these guys are able to make something that truly feels and fits in the Halo universe after setting up some big events with Halo 5 and fucking ignoring it, and then setting up some big events with Halo Infinite and fucking ignoring it, and then going back to the drawing board and making a remake of Halo 1 for like the 4th time, and then we'll see what happens. But this is a really bad way to celebrate 25 years of Xbox, a really bad way to celebrate 25 years of Halo. I'm not feeling the love behind this game. It doesn't feel like a Halo game just came out. And I'll be honest. Well, I do think there's potential that, let's say whatever they call it next, Halo fucking 7 or whatever. While I think there's potential based on what they're doing with Gears of War E-Day and all the rest, I think there's potential for the next Halo to be a console exclusive with what Asha's doing. I don't think it takes the sting away from like Halo's on PlayStation now. I mean, it just feels like it's over. And I get it. You could be like, well, if you're Microsoft, you can spin this. If you're trying to backpedal, you can spin this and be like, well, we put, Gears 1 and Halo 1 on PlayStation because these games are like 20, 25 years old. Like, these are old games. There's nothing we have to hide from players about that. But like, any new experiences in these universes, these are going to be exclusive to our platform because we want to give people a reason to go with Xbox. And yeah, you can say that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Halo is officially available on PlayStation. And that's just weird. And that just kind of sucks. And Halo Campaign Evolved is a weird, bittersweet combination of like kind of a cool reinterpretation of a classic game and kind of an absolute spit in the face, like slap to what this brand, what this console, what this franchise are all about. And I just don't really know how I feel about it, but I am definitely enjoying the feeling of playing the game enough to more than happily play through all this content and then come back and talk next week and let you know how I really feel after having truly experienced it. But it's just on first blush, I don't know. I just don't feel like a new Halo came out. I just feel disappointed and a little bit like sad about where things have gone. And I'll just say this, I'm having a lot more fun playing Splatoon Raiders than I am playing Halo Campaign Evolved. So I'm going to take a quick break. We'll come back and get into the proper news. But I just want to give a first impression on Halo, just because I feel like, it's an elephant in the room. Like, we can't not talk about Halo when there's new Halo. So we'll come right back to that. All right, let's start off the news this week with two kind of like shorter things, just because especially this first one really is kind of like a tease for something that's pretty much happening as of the time the show goes live. So there's not a whole lot of sense in like talking about it or breaking it down, but the coalition has confirmed that the day this show goes live, July 30th, Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern time, they are finally going to reveal gameplay footage of Gears of War E-Day's multiplayer via Xbox's YouTube channel. So this has kind of been a weird one because after they showed this game extensively during their early June summer showcase, we didn't really get any look at like the PvE or the PvP. They mentioned Horde mode, but that was about it. So they're going to talk about the Horde mode. They're going to show regular multiplayer, and we're going to get like kind of the full like unveiling of all of this shit. So it'll feature a new 4v4 PvP mode in a 12-player PvE Horde mode. So much larger, like much grander scale of Horde mode. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. I don't know, man. Like Gears of War multiplayer for me, I know a lot of people are very passionate about Gears of War multiplayer. I know Gears 2 is kind of like a peak multiplayer experience for a lot of people. I've very rarely ever gotten into Gears multiplayer personally. To me, I think 4 was probably the game where I played the most multiplayer, which I know is not a popular one for that, but that was just my experience. So Gears of War when it comes to multiplayer isn't for me like what Halo is by any stretch of the imagination, but I know this is a big deal, and I also personally found it just very odd that they omitted talking about any of this during the summer showcase. I just feels like Gears of War is equally a multiplayer game as much as it is a single player narrative experience. So I don't know, that's weird, but hopefully we'll see a whole lot and a very in-depth look on Thursday, or as of the time this is going live. Hopefully it's available for you to take a look at. And then next week we'll talk about this and break it all down and get into it. But, for a game that's supposed to come out in fucking, what is it? Is it late September? October 6th. For a game that's coming out in like 2 months. It's pretty fucking weird. We're like 9 weeks away from this game coming out. We haven't really seen the multiplayer. It just is not very typical Gears of War, but I do look forward to seeing this, and hopefully it looks pretty damn good because Xbox needs a win with one of its classic IP. I mean, obviously they're killing it right now with Forza Horizon 6, but I want one of the classics. Like give us a Halo or Gears we can really feel like we've won with, because it just feels like it's been a minute, like Gears 5 was really excellent. But that was 7 years ago. And 2, even, it kind of falls in that Halo 5, Gears 4 camp of like, people who liked Xbox One, people who are like Xbox diehards like myself, like a lot of you guys, we liked Gears 5, but Gears 5 didn't make waves with general audiences the way like Gears 1 through 3 did. So I think this game has a lot of potential and momentum going into it, just by way of being part of the like original crew, the original lineup, the old days of Gears of War. And I think there's been enough time and breathing room for people to have missed this IP enough to where there's a level of hype and enthusiasm for this that we just didn't see with Gears 4 and Gears 5 during the Xbox One generation. So it just feels like, I don't know, I don't think we're going to see like peak 2000s Gears of War hype around this game, but I do think there is some serious potential for the closest thing we have seen to that in a long time with this game. And honestly, just the way Campaign Evolved is kind of coming out with a little bit of a thud in terms of just fanfare and general reception. I just want to see Xbox get a win on one of these things. And yes, they technically are getting a win right now with things, again, like Forza Horizon 6, which we'll kind of talk about a little bit later in the news, but I want to see like the real success, the real hit. I'm hoping Fable can be that as well. Xbox they just don't have it. It's like a game will sell well but not be loved like Starfield, or it will sell well and do great, but it's like something like Forza where even though it has a huge market, it's not a big splash for like the hardcore gaming audience, or it's just like a constant fumble with things like Halo, or they're just doing like smaller things that are more niche or indie style, and it's just like, come on, man, just win already. Like we want to see you do well. I'm really hoping that Gears E-Day can kind of be the start of that happening again, or maybe a continuation of that happening again after the success of Forza Horizon 6, but we shall see. All right, moving on. Another one that's kind of a smaller one, but definitely want to pay attention to at the top of the show, just because this is very relevant to the things that have been going on recently. Double Fine Entertainment unfortunately posted on their social media channels the classic, the tweet that's just the black text or the white text on the black backdrop, where it always means like something bad's happening or something. It's the text you use generally to announce a game delay or cancellation or layoffs or something of that sort. And yes, unfortunately in this case it is a layoff. So the note writes or reads, quote, "Today, Double Fine Productions let go of 23 members of our staff. As a small, tightly knit team, these actions are not taken lightly. Only the survival of our studio would ever make us consider such a painful action. Our transition to becoming an independent company also means becoming a size that we can sustain. The people we are losing were all important. They all made an impact to our games, our culture, and they will be missed. We are committed to supporting each affected person as best we can, and we thank them for their hard work and commitment to the creative spirit we cherish here at Double Fine." And that's signed Tim. Double Fine is a relatively small team anyway. I think they are sub 100 people. So to cut 23 staff, that's a pretty fucking large portion of your team. Actually, let me see if I can find exactly what their head count is. I think sometimes Wikipedia or Moby Games will give you a head count, but let's see. This will be a real cursory search, so I don't know the exact validity of it, but here we go. Yeah, approximately 100 people. So if they're laying off 23 people, there's a quarter of their staff out the window right there. So moving down close to the 75 range or so. Pretty fucking weak and really sucks. But this is the reality of being a team based in San Francisco, California, living in working out of an expensive building, and now being no longer part of the Xbox family. Is like, you got to find a way to make the money. And you look at what these guys have done in recent years, and it's like, well, yeah, in the past decade, you've put out like a crowd-funded Psychonauts 2, but it's been a minute since that, and a couple of these small games that have kind of flopped and failed in terms of financial success. So now it's like, all right, where do we go from here? And I suspect Double Fine will end up being fine at the end of the day. I think what they'll probably do is try to make something semi big and sizable like a Psychonauts 2 type of thing again, but they will probably end up going back to crowdfunding, or they will have to find a publisher. But I really don't see where they're going to find a publisher right now. I almost wonder, it's like, is Double Fine somehow too big for something like a Devolver Digital? Could they partner with like a Devolver and continue to put out some smaller games? But at the same time, it's like they need something that's going to like guarantee bring in some money. So is this where you play it safe while times were tough, while the games industry is going through this great purge? Is this where you play things real fucking safe, and you either go to crowdsourcing or you pitch to a publisher and say, hey, we know there's one thing we can do that is a surefire way to keep our team banded together and financially on solid ground for at least another 5 to 7 years. And you just say, fuck it. Here is Psychonauts 3. Please leave us alone. You know, like, I just feel like that might be the move, just for the sake of trying to keep the team together, for trying to keep Double Fine afloat during such a precarious time and place for the games industry. But I hate to see that. Like, it's not that I don't want a Psychonauts 3 because I thought, Psychonauts 2 was excellent. It's just that, I want to see these guys be able to do the thing they want to do. But it's just the thing they want to do more often than not is just make this stuff that's like fun games, unique games, interesting games, but these small niche products that just have no audience. And in a world where there's like a million games coming out every single fucking day, like, I can't open up Steam for more than 20 seconds without finding 5 new games I never knew about that I want to play. It's like, you just can't operate like it's 2009 and Xbox Live Arcade is thriving and it's the summer of arcade and you're putting out fucking, what's it called? Like, the Halloween game they made, Costume Quest. Like, you just can't be doing stuff like that anymore. It's not to say that there is no room or place in this world anymore for indie games, but like, I feel like I'm going to get some shade from this. I'm sorry, Cronky, if you're pissed off, but it's like, for the types of games Double Fine has mostly been known to make the past decade or so, it's like, yeah, 20 years ago, you could make those games. You could find an audience, you could sustain yourselves, and you could be a team known for making these types of games. But in today's world, to make the kinds of games Double Fine makes, like Kiln, like Keeper, you need to be a small team of like 10 to 20 people at max, who are dispersed all around the world, working remotely. You don't rent office space. You're just a scrappy team of passionate developers making it happen. And that's how games like that get made in today's world. But if you are a team of 75 to 100 people and you have an office that you're locked into in San Francisco, California, you better be making a fucking game that has mainstream appeal and is a big enough deal that you're going to, at least as much as you can, guarantee yourself some level of success. Because while Double Fine is a name people respect, while Tim Schafer is a legend in the games industry, that alone is not going to sell the games they make. And we know that to be true now because, I mean, look at the games they made under Xbox's ownership. So you hate to see people go, and you hate to see this. And I believe this statement. Like, yeah, when you're a small team of sub 100 people and you cut a quarter of your staff, that's a big fucking deal. I mean, like, imagine going your job and 25% of the people you know in your office are gone. Like, that's not nothing. It's one thing when you're a team of, when Xbox has 15 to 20,000 employees and they fire 2,000 of them or something like that. It's like, okay, that fucking sucks. But you can work in whole ass departments and teams and not even see the effects of those layoffs. But you're not going to work at a Double Fine and not notice that a fourth of your coworkers are gone. Like, that's a thing that's happening. And I don't know, man. It sucks. You feel for the people. I definitely don't want to see this continue to happen, but without trying to sound callous, it just kind of goes back to the thing we talked about when these layoffs happen. It's like, you're part of Team Xbox. I understand Xbox encouraged you to make whatever you wanted to make. They said, we need all types of games to feed the Xbox Game Pass monster. Everything from the AAA stuff to the indie stuff to everything in between to live service stuff, whatever you have. We need it all. But I just feel like if I was on Team Xbox and those were the guys keeping the lights on, I would be like, what do I got to do to stand out among all the other teams under the Xbox umbrella? Because I want to secure myself under this team. Because, I mean, listen, the precarious situation the games industry is in right now is new and different. But the overall reality in which the games industry is kind of a precarious, maybe like almost gig work type situation where things are constantly shifting, studios come and go, people get laid off, plans change. I just feel like the second you go under big ownership, like with Microsoft, you got to immediately go, okay, how do we stay here? How do we keep ourselves afloat? And I just don't believe that Double Fine really did all they could do to ensure that. I feel like they made the games they were passionate about, but not the games that they knew would reach an audience. And it's not to say you should sacrifice your creative vision in order to sell copies, but I don't know, maybe sometimes you got to do a little bit of both, you know, maybe you got to kind of meet in the middle and go, hey, this is a great idea. We're very passionate about this idea, but we also have to make a game that's going to keep the lights on at the end of the day. So how can we kind of do a little bit of what we want while also doing a little bit for them as well? And I don't know, man. You see big actors, right? Sometimes a big actor is like in this drama movie, then this Oscar award winning movie, and then this AAA summer blockbuster movie, then this drama movie, then this indie drama film. And then actors doing so many, you know, so many, I don't know, Green Books and Marvel Cinematic Universe movies and all the rest. You eventually go, all right, now it's time for a fucking paycheck. And then you let DreamWorks or Illuminations or Disney or whoever cut you a fat fucking check. You go into a recording booth for 2 weeks and you voice some stupid ass anthropomorphic car or bird or something for some little 90-minute kids movie that nobody gives a shit about, that's going to make a shit ton of money at the box office, that is honestly not your proudest credit, but it's a fucking payday and money's money. And sometimes you just got to get the work done. And then once you get the paycheck under your belt, locked in your bank account and things are good, then you can go back to doing your indie darling hits and your Oscar bait and all the rest. But like sometimes you just got to get a paycheck. And I just feel like Double Fine, Ninja Theory, a lot of these teams, it's like they never chased a paycheck. They chased, I don't know, like creative visions and freedoms and things like that, which is great. It's awesome that Xbox tried to foster an environment where people felt inspired and safe to go do those things. But I don't know, look how it turned out, man. Even the teams that did good still got fucked. I mean, look at freaking id Software, man. Like they made badass first person shooters and were still told to go fuck themselves, I guess. But don't worry, Halo Studios is safe. No matter what they do, they can do no harm. So they're good. All right, let's move on, guys. So this is the big story of this week, but the reality of it is I just don't have a whole lot to say on it. I don't like to feign outrage or you know, some conversation about things I just truly don't care about. But I recognize it is a big deal, and the implications are big, which is, you know, the Xbox outage that happened this past week. In the midst of this all digital future that we're kind of having shoved down our throats, even though people like myself kind of welcome it, I understand why it's very concerning. So let's read and then we'll talk. So from VGC, Xbox have announced they're currently suffering some outages. Now this has since been addressed and ameliorated, but at the time of this article, the Xbox status page is showing a major outage for accounts and profiles, store subscriptions, apps, and mobile services. According to the account profile page, what it was saying was you may not be able to sign your Xbox profile, you may be disconnected while signed in, or have other related problems. Features that require sign-ins, like most games, apps, and social activities, will not be available. The store and subscription status states that you might not see games you're looking for in the store right now, and the apps and mobile status say that you may have problems launching apps. All three status reports have been identified, and Microsoft did a pretty decent job of addressing it. They first said, you know, the support account on Twitter said, we are aware that some users are encountering errors attempting to sign in. We see you're seeing your game library launching games. Our engineers are actively working to mitigate the issues. And so this all happened like just a day or two after PlayStation had a similar type of outage, except Xbox has ended up lasting a whole lot longer. It was just it's not a good time. But let's continue on here. Okay, which is this. So after all this happened and everything was fixed and all that, the chief technology officer of Xbox explained what happened that led to the outage and vowed to never let it happen again. So let's see here. Where's his quote? All right. Xbox CTO Scott Van Villay has taken to Twitter to write a lengthy post explaining what happened, vowing to keep the players in the loop for future issues. He said, quote, earlier today, many players began experiencing issues with sign-in, enumerating their game libraries, and playing games. Villay wrote on Monday night, the team has worked hard throughout the day to fix issues, and we've restored service as of 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. Nonetheless, this is an unacceptable situation. We must do better to support you. Over the coming weeks, you'll hear more from us about our service, our platform, and what we're working to do to make Xbox better. And that starts with some transparency about the incident. Our on-call teams caught the first signals overnight through automated monitoring and declared a major incident. He explains, once we isolated the failing infrastructure, we shifted the traffic onto the healthy parts of our system while the team continued to work towards the root cause. Service came back unevenly across regions, which is why some of you recovered hours before others. But we'll do better. He adds that now the issue's been resolved, he's more interested in why it happened in the first place and how Xbox's tech can be restructured to ensure single issues like that do not lead to widespread outages in the future. He says, we're running a full post-incident review. I care less about one-line root cause and more about the real question, why a failure in one service was able to take down this much, why recovery took as long as it did, and why and what we can do to change a single point of failure, what we can do to make sure it can't ruin your night again. That means hardening the dependencies underneath sign in in-game launch, improving how we detect and contain this class of failure, and being faster and clearer with you when something breaks. Thank you for your patience and for the reports that genuinely help us narrow this down. We'll do better. All right, guys, and here's my thing about it. The communication was good. These things are inevitable to some extent. Here's the thing. He kind of addresses the elephant in the room. It's like, it's not that things go out like listen, everyone has home internet, right? Sometimes your internet shits out. I don't know, a tree falls on a line and something gets fucked up. A storm happens and your internet's out for a few hours. God knows, living in Florida, this is more common than you think. But like, this shit happens, right? And so I guess what they're saying is, it's like, okay, sometimes a thing's going to go down, but what is the second line of defense? What is the third line of defense to make sure that if, point A goes offline or, item A breaks, what is item B to back it up? Or what is the protocol to ensure that we have emergency backup? Basically saying, if a hurricane comes through and your house loses power, we got to be prepared for that inevitably happening at some point in the future. But what about the power, the gas powered generator in your garage to help keep the refrigerator and the AC running once the hurricane passes and you're without power for a few days? And that's kind of what they're talking about. Is it's like, okay, shit's going to happen. We're aware of that, but we need a better second line of defense and third line of defense. And we need to be better about communicating these things and faster to repair them. And that's great. And honestly, it's a little inexcusable and a little surprising to learn that Microsoft doesn't already have these things in place. Like the fact that Xbox Live is a service that's been around for the better part of 20 years. And the fact that, you're Microsoft, you're a software company, you're all about services and infrastructure and computers, and you don't have kind of a built-in place, I guess, like predetermined contingency plan for when things happen, is a little bit confusing and honestly pretty inexcusable. And so I know a lot of people are like, well, this is the thing. You're telling us to go this all digital future, but we can't even fucking rely on you. People spent $20 to get early access to Halo Campaign Evolved. And during that early access, your infrastructure went down. People spent money to access a thing that your network wouldn't allow them to access. That is a problem. I agree. And there should be make goods. There should be discounts issued to people's accounts if they bought the early access. There should be some form of a reparation or a refund of some sort to make things right for people. But here's where I don't agree, because the reality is, if you're still a physical purchaser, the 99% of the shit you buy is just a code on a disc in a fucking box on the store shelf. You're still a fool. It's not to say that you're wrong for wanting to collect physical goods. That's fine, to each their own, more power to you. But to act and feign this kind of like physical is superior in a world where physical games haven't really been physical games in such a long time. It's like, we're way far past the point of, if only games were physical, then we would be safe in scenarios like this. I mean, 90% of the fucking games any of you guys want to play are online games to begin with. So even if the game is physical, it's like, great, you can get to the main menu and find out everything's offline. So what the fuck do you care if the game's physical or digital? Also, the overwhelming majority of physical games you purchase are just download keys. Maybe they have the first couple gigabytes of the game or something like that on the disc, and then you pop it in your Xbox and it says, great, let's go download some shit from the store, and then this disc will act as an activation key. So we're way past the point of, the PS2, oh my God, the game is the game. If your internet is out, you can always still play the game. It doesn't matter. You just pop the game in your console and there you go. That's just not the world we live in. And I'm so tired of the kind of tunnel vision arguments that suggest like things ought to stay exactly the way they are because because if things like outages happen, how will people access their library? I just, if Xbox Network goes offline, if PlayStation Network goes down, you're fucked regardless of whether or not your library is physical or digital. That's the reality of the problem. Halo Combat or Campaign Evolved was only available for early access 5 days early if you paid the digital deluxe whatever fucking price. Having a stupid disc wasn't going to change that. You had to buy some digital entitlement in order to take advantage of that feature. So I just feel like it's a silly thing. And the reality of it is we should expect more from these companies, and we should expect faster response times and better lines of defense to ensure things like this don't happen in the first place. But I do not think that this issue is directly correlated with the need for physical media. I just don't see how physical media really resolves this issue in a world where, regardless of whether or not the game is 0%, 10%, or 100% loaded onto the disc, every fucking game needs to be online for some reason or another. And it just doesn't make sense to demand the archaic continuation of some medium that doesn't really serve any benefit other than superficial and collector style like benefit in a world where we're just better serviced by the convenience of digital. But we should expect more in terms of quality services, better communications, and more secure networks. Absolutely. I think all of these things can be true. And I think that this is a problem, and I'm glad it got resolved. But I will say, as someone who was not very much on Xbox during the time this happened, like I went on to check the store and I went on to download Halo and pre-order it early and all that stuff. I noticed nothing. I used the app and my Xbox Series X and the Xbox for PC app all during this time period, and I had no problems. I was largely unaffected. So maybe I would have felt differently had I been more directly affected. I don't know, but we have seen Xbox Network go down in the past. It's not the first time. I'm sure it won't be the last time. But these things, like, I don't know, man, like, technical difficulties do happen. They just do. You subscribe to cable TV, or not you, but maybe your parents do, because fucking older people use cable TV. But like, it is, you have satellite or cable TV or whatever the fuck. Sometimes it goes down. You pay for the internet every month. Sometimes the internet goes down. I mean, things have outages. Verizon had a notorious outage that was a pretty big deal like a couple years ago. Twitter had a big outage not too long ago. These things happen, and I just feel like the excuse of, these networks had an issue, there was a hiccup in the system, this is convenient timing with the conversation going around with the digital versus physical advent, let's use this as an excuse to argue our point. That's fine. Like, you're entitled to, and I encourage people to speak their voices and say, and voice their concerns and say the things they need to say. But it's just, I just don't think that the fact that Xbox Network went down for a little bit and there were some technical difficulties behind the scenes is the reason why physical needs to stick around. I just think these things are inevitable. Shit happens sometimes. And yeah, it does suck. It sucks when you come home from a long day of work and you're like, this is my night off to relax. The kids are at fucking soccer practice and I got home from work an hour early and my wife said to take a load off tonight. I'm going to boot up Call of Duty and play for an hour and a half. And then I'm going to go to bed and then go back to my miserable day job. Like, I get it. There are people in this world who live like that. And maybe that was their fucking one night out of the week or whatever to just unwind and play some Call of Duty and drink a zero alcohol light lager or whatever the fuck they like. And it fucking sucks to boot up your Xbox and find out shit's offline. I get it. But things happen, man. I mean, just god damn, dude. Like, I'm not saying we should accept these things and we shouldn't see improvement. Like, I'm pissed when my internet goes out. I'm pissed when the TV's not working. But like, at the same time, I know these things will happen. This morning I woke up and my smoke detector had a battery issue and it was flipping the fuck out. And that was annoying, but I know batteries don't last forever and smoke detectors don't have problems. Like, this is a thing that's going to happen at some point in time. And as an adult who accepts reality, I know to roll with punches when shit happens. I don't know, man. Again, this isn't the best story for me to talk about because I feel like on the one hand, there's something to be said about expecting better from these companies so that these things happen less frequently and that these outages are shorter and that the communication is faster and better. But at the same time, I think it's just normal to expect that sometimes services and products have issues and things go down, and hopefully they get better fast. And maybe there's some kind of, like, I don't know, some kind of apology or perk for those who were particularly affected, like people who paid extra money to have early access to Halo only for the network to be down during that early access period. I get it. Make it right and move on with life. I don't know. I feel like that's a piss people off kind of stance, but that's just honestly how I kind of feel about it. As someone who lives in the real world and understands sometimes shit happens, nothing's ever going to be perfect. Doesn't mean settle for bad service. It means demand better service, but also don't be unrealistic about what we should expect. All right. Anyway, let's move on. Talk about this ad streaming thing. So, dude, this is one we've been talking about. I want to say 5 years at this point. It's been. I mean, Phil Spencer was talking about this probably in 2021 or 22. Talking about, I was in Africa. Thought about like how we can get more Xbox games into, people take the bus. What if the bus had a TV and you could connect during your bus ride to your Xbox account and watch an ad and play a game and stuff like that. They always talk about the ad supported free gaming Xbox experience. Here it is coming back. It seems like we're the closest we've ever been to it actually coming to fruition. Xbox has started testing the ability to stream games with ads for free. At the moment, players are able to stream Xbox games through cloud gaming if they have Game Pass. Higher Xbox Game Pass tiers have shorter wait times and higher quality streaming, but now, as reported by Xbox Wire blog, so straight from the horse's mouth, Xbox insiders are able to test ad-supported ways to stream games they own for a limited time. Games they own. According to Xbox, ads will play before game sessions start, but not during gameplay to ensure the core game experience is unchanged. Sessions will be limited to 1 hour in length. Also, this stresses that the method is optional, but players can choose other ways to play games, such as paid cloud streaming through Game Pass or downloading and playing games locally at any time. Xbox says it will stand by the following 5 rules when using ad-supported services. The first one is that we will start with the player. Ads should create value. We do not interrupt the flow of gameplay. We hold ads to the same quality bar as our content. Bullshit. We're clear about what's advertising. Yeah, right. And we'll make sure that ads fit what the players expect from each platform. Bullshit. I know I'm going to get some fucking bounty quicker picker upper ads on my Xbox in about T-4 days, but whatever. That's some PR bullshit talk. Advertising has existed in gaming for a decade from Xbox said on the official blog. When done well, advertising can help lower the cost of access. Creates another way for players to get into games without upfront streaming purchase and expands audiences. We'll learn from the test. Here's the thing, man. I think the ad-supported thing is dumb. I think it's not going to work. I think it's for nobody. If you are trying to expand cloud gaming and Xbox Game Pass in Western markets, I think the free ad-supported option is absolutely fucking stupid. I don't think anyone in the UK, anyone in Canada, anyone in the US, I don't think anyone in Australia, any of your core English-speaking countries that or territories that engage with Xbox, I don't think any of them are going to give a shit. Even the non-English speaking Western territories like Mexico and whatnot, that like Xbox, like it's great that you're bringing this. I don't think any of these territories give a shit about this. I think it's dumb. I do think, and 5 years ago, I think this made a lot more sense. The version of Xbox that is trying to push to get people to stream games via phones or Samsung TVs or Roku sticks or whatever the fuck you have, I think that market in other parts of the world, namely in Asia and Africa, I think there is potentially a market for that. I could see this being a thing in a place like China or India or something like that, but I just don't see this being something that American audiences really take to, because we're used to paying a small nominal fee to enjoy our games, and I think people will feel very encumbered by the idea of adding ads to their gaming experience. Now, never want to underestimate the allure of free shit, but at the same time, I think the ad-supported format is going to be wholly unenticing to the loud and obnoxious gamers out there. And more importantly, I think Xbox does a poor job of getting these kinds of services and features out to the masses. And so while it might be a good idea, maybe, I just don't see Xbox being aggressive enough about this once it really takes off and becomes an implemented feature for us to ever get to the point where like Normie Joe knows that he can play, try a game for free a couple hours by getting an ad every hour on some Xbox streaming platform where all you got to do is connect whatever controller you have laying around the house to a TV, a tablet, or a phone, and then boom, you're playing fucking Master Chief's Adventure for free for a couple hours by just watching an ad for some fucking tampons every once in a while. I just don't see it taking off. Xbox has been mostly pretty unsuccessful in all their streaming ventures. This seems by far like the most niche, unlikely to take off kind of aspect of this service, but who am I to say that it won't work? You know, we've seen crazier things happen. I just think Xbox has struggled so much and failed in so many ways and doesn't really seem to be making any ground. I really don't believe they ever will in terms of getting a foothold in Korea, in Japan, in China, in India, all these places they really, really wish they were more actively consumed in. And I think another big one is South America. I mean, PlayStation's big in South America. Xbox is not that big in South America. Europe is another big one. Xbox was kind of big, especially in the UK during the Xbox 360 years and whatnot. But like, I don't know, outside the UK, like the French guys, they just want to smoke cigarettes with their DualSense controllers. Like they don't really want to feel the concave analog sticks of the Xbox gamepad. They don't want the offset axis sticks. They don't want anything to do with that beautiful gamepad that Microsoft makes. They want that dirty European style PlayStation controller that gives you hand cramps after 30 minutes because it's an absolute ass controller. Even though it feels pretty good for the first couple minutes, let's be honest, PlayStation controller cramps your fucking hands after an hour. That's okay. Those people want that. They're foreign. They're European. They're probably communist. But we know Xbox has a superior controller. But joking aside, I just don't see this really taking off. I think it's cool that they've stuck to it. They've been talking about it for so long. The fact that it's actually happening, cool. Let's see how it plays out. Do I think it will go anywhere? Absolutely not. And honestly, this feels kind of like a vestige of the Sarah Bond, Phil Spencer era that like they're just kind of fulfilling because like it's here, we're at the finish line, the technology's ready to go, let's see what the fuck happens. But I would like not be surprised to see this kind of go into a testing phase, maybe see a small rollout of it, and then it just kind of quietly dies and we never hear from again. I really wouldn't be surprised. I just think Xbox is, it's important to keep in mind. Asha still has the same, albeit horribly minded and centered goals that the previous administration has, which is they're not chasing console sales. They're not chasing copies of games sold. They are chasing hours spent, player counts, and all these artificial numbers. They don't care if this guy pays $13 a month to play games. This guy plays for free but watches ads. This guy owns a console and buys the game a la carte. This guy owns a PC and gets it through Game Pass. This guy owns a PC and buys it through Steam. This guy owns a PlayStation and plays the game there. They don't care where, how you get these games. They don't care how little or how much you pay. They just want players engaged in their ecosystem. And I think this is a massive mistake. At the end of the day, you should go for quality over quantity. And I think selling fewer games to fewer people at a higher price, at a bigger penetration through a more bought-in audience is a way safer plan to sustain the Xbox ecosystem than just chasing large swaths of people, because in addition to constantly pissing off your hardcore Xbox people that want to buy your console, that want to buy your games, that want to invest in your ecosystem, you're equally chasing the Japanese commuter who only plays on his fucking iPhone, and the guy in India who has like no money and comes from a culture where like they gotta like fucking go to like a university or whatever to use a computer and be like, oh, well, they have some shitty Qualcomm based Android device that is like 10 years out of date and maybe they can play some streaming, Xbox games on that. It's like, listen, man, I'm not trying to, I'm not digging on these other countries. Like there's obviously different kinds of ways to access things and different cities and markets that have different interactions with how they engage in games. But the core of it is the traditional buy a video game console, buy a video game for that console, experience that game is a very Western experience. And then outside of the West, it's very Japanese. It's like, this is how people play games. I mean, Japan's gone predominantly mobile in recent history in the past 15 years or so. But I mean, like, you got like North America, you got Europe, you got parts of South America, and you got parts of Asia. They will play the PlayStation, the Xbox, the Nintendo console in their living room with the controller in hands. But most of the world otherwise, if they're engaging in a video game, it's a stupid fucking tap app on their iPhone. It's one of the games where the wings flap, or you watch the ad, or the naked booby lady sells you an ad during a football game for a game that looks nothing like the ad you watched. It just ends up being some stupid Clash of Clans knockoff thing. Like, those games are popular in other markets, and Xbox, I think, is chasing their tail trying to desperately get those audiences to say, hey, Xbox is where it's at. I don't think you're going to take a Candy Crush guy and turn him into an Xbox guy. I do not think these two things are the same thing. It just doesn't make sense. It just feels like a straw man kind of business plan to say, oh, well, Candy Crush is a video game and so is Baldur's Gate 3. So how can we get people that play Candy Crush to engage more with Xbox the way people who play Baldur's Gate do? It's like, that's just not how it works. It's kind of like how every fucking person you know in your life has an iPhone because everyone has an iPhone. It doesn't mean everyone's a tech enthusiast. You can ask 100 people around you what iPhone they have and how many megapixels the camera is and what chipset it has and the benchmarks of their phone and how many milliamps their battery is. And nobody knows shit, like everyone has an iPhone and they refer to a USB-C 3 cable as an iPhone charger or a Samsung charger. Just because you have an electronic device doesn't mean you're some fucking like guru nerd, right? And I think Xbox conflates this shit constantly where they're like, oh, this soccer mom plays Candy Crush on her iPhone, sometimes in traffic, instead of paying attention to the fucking road. She must be a candidate for Starfield. It's like, no, guys, no, stop. Stop being greedy. Stop chasing this wide net audience. Didn't you learn anything with Kinect? Didn't Nintendo teach you anything with the fucking Wii and the Wii U? Like, this is not how this works. And I do think Asha's administration is going to tackle this in a more tasteful and well-researched and approached way. I do believe that. I mean, you've already seen them kind of shut the fuck up about like, we own Candy Crush, we own King. It's like, yeah, you do. And that's great. And that's going to make you a lot of money. But don't assume that the people engaging with games published by King are going to immediately buy an Xbox Series X and start fucking playing Clockwork Revolution. Like, this is a crazy fucking logic jump to think that one can equal the other. And in fact, it's quite the opposite, really, because, it's like, and maybe this is anecdotal for me to say, but I feel like the majority of people who play video games in a hardcore sense, like they game on PC, they game on PlayStation, whatever, most of those people are like, yeah, mobile gaming sucks. I don't play mobile games. And conversely, most people that play mobile games don't go home and play a PlayStation. And if they do, they go home and play like NBA 2K or Call of Duty. Like, these are not gamers. These are very different things. It's like, I don't know. It's like, oh, I saw a guy taking notes at work during a meeting. He must be an artist. Here, draw the fucking Mona Lisa for me. It's like, calm down, dude. A pen and pencil, a pencil and pad are not, synchronous with like fucking art and note taking. Like, don't jump to conclusions. And I just feel like the ad-based game streaming thing is part of that, where you're trying to take one group and another group and just lump them all together and be like, now we can grow from 30 million active users to 200 million active users. It's like, keep fucking dreaming, Microsoft, but it's just not going to happen. And I think as long as they're chasing the tail of daily active users, player engagement, as long as Xbox is coming out quarter after quarter financially and saying, this past month, we had 297 billion units of time spent on Fortnite, Call of Duty, Warzone, and Halo. It's like, as long as they're saying shit like that and not, we sold X amount of consoles, we sold X amount of units of this game or that game, we had X amount of dollars in revenue from games sold. I don't want to hear about, like fucking Game Pass and all this shit that doesn't result in profits. It's just revenue. It's all just revenue. We just have people spending money. We have people spending time. We have people clicking on things. You ever notice, like, when you're playing a game that's on Game Pass, you download it and you boot it up and you press the start screen and it's like, boom, rare achievement. Press the start button. It's like, yeah, that's a problem. You have like millions of people playing random ass games and they download them and they boot them up and they play them for 10 seconds and then they tap out. Those people are not engaged in your platform. They're not spending money. They're just poking around. They're doing nothing. And it's just like, it plays into the bigger picture. It's like, listen, man, I know it's a fun idea. Game Pass is a failed experiment. You got to stop. I don't begrudge Xbox for continuously investing in cloud streaming because I do think there is something to it. I think it is something you have to begrudgingly continue to invest in because I do think there is a future in cloud streaming as the technology improves, as hardware prices continue to soar, and as younger generations care less and less about where they play their games and more that they can just play the game. You know, it's like in my generation, people cared about Xbox and Halo and Gears of War, or PlayStation and Uncharted and Battlefield, whatever it was, right? Kids today, they don't give a shit about that. They don't care if it's an Xbox, a PlayStation, a Nintendo, an iPad. They don't care. They just want to play Fortnite on the fucking TV with their friends. They don't care if they're playing on a goddamn toaster oven. It's just Fortnite is the platform. And I know they get that and that's what they care about, but I don't know. I just think that they're just wasting their time trying to make this streaming thing like at the forefront of their business model, where it's like, look at the way PlayStation does it. PlayStation's very smart about it. And I learned this year when I got the Portal and started fucking around with it, which is that PlayStation has a really robust game streaming infrastructure. They really invest in it. It's really good. It's very reliable. I'll even say it, in some cases it's better than Xbox's. But much like how PlayStation has, you know, the premium edition of PlayStation Plus, where you're getting free games, there's this ever rotating catalog of games that are either, you know, 10, 15 years old, all the way to games that are only like 1 or 2 years old, you know, and how that's essentially Game Pass. Xbox makes the mistake of building their whole brand identity around these things that are like third, fourth, fifth, like these are like tertiary interests to your core audience. Xbox gamers don't care really that much. Like, I kind of care about game streaming. I'm one of the weird ones. I used to have the Logitech G Cloud and I used game streaming a decent amount on that. I don't really anymore now that I have the Xbox Ally. I play games natively off of that. But like, aside from like rare cases like that, people in the Xbox's community don't really give a shit about cloud streaming. They don't really want ad supported streaming. They don't really care about any of these things. They just want to like play great games on their Xbox. And I think if you take day one away from Game Pass and you incentivize people to buy your games and you focus on playing games natively on your platform and you have good games to get people invested in and you have good hardware to get people invested in and you sell that hardware at a price point that makes sense and can get people in the door, I think that's how you fucking do it. And the reality is, like, I think I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is the hindsight of the Xbox One generation, where from 2013 to to today, really, the sentiment surrounding the Xbox One generation is, wow, that was a failure of a generation for Xbox, but not really when you look at it. I mean, like, give or take a couple 100,000 or million units here or there, like where the cards landed now that the consoles are largely dead. The PlayStation 4 had something around 120 million units sold. And the Xbox One generation was somewhere in the 50 to 55 million units sold. Now, if you're comparing Xbox to PlayStation, no doubt about it, PlayStation absolutely clobbered Xbox. It was a failed generation. If you're looking at it purely from the competition standpoint of one brand versus another. But if you're just looking at it through the eyes of a healthy business model that is sustainable, profitable, and worth continuing to invest in and see through, Xbox was a very healthy brand in the Xbox One generation. They sold plenty of units. They sold them at a slim profit margin. They had plenty of subscribers to Xbox Live, people who were paying you money to give them some old games for free and have access to online infrastructure. And they were paying $60 a pop for games on your platform, whether it was third-party shit like Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty, or it's first-party shit like Gears 4 and Quantum Break and Sunset Overdrive and Halo 5 and whatever. And it was like, life was kind of good on Xbox One. Yes, it wasn't the Xbox 360 generation where the competition between PlayStation and Xbox was neck and neck. It wasn't that. But it was healthy enough. I mean, you look at like previous generations of console hardware sales, the Xbox One sold better than most Nintendo consoles. This is like the kind of context that people just ignore when having these conversations. The Xbox One outsold the GameCube. It outsold the N64. Two consoles that every fucking elder Gen Z / millennial will have you convinced was the biggest thing in the world. Talk to a guy who's in his 30s. I swear to God, he'll try to convince you everyone in the goddamn universe had a Nintendo GameCube and was helplessly addicted to that shit like it was crack cocaine. But the reality of the situation is the GameCube sold like 25 million units. GameCube was like kind of a fucking failure, you know? Xbox One sold way better than Nintendo GameCube, but there's an optics battle that Xbox has lost, and I think it forced them down this road of trying to chase a way to flip the table and change the game for themselves. And that's where Game Pass falls into it, and that's where acquiring Activision comes into play, and that's where chasing cloud streaming and ad-supported streaming and player numbers over units sold, and all of this comes into play, because the reality is, like, dude, you can run a healthy business off 50 million units out there in the wild. People buying games at $60 a pop on your platform. That's great. But if you're a greedy little bastard, you end up where we are now, which is now we're in the Xbox Series generation, and hardware prices are through the fucking roof, and they can't make a profit. I mean, I don't know if we have it here, but there was a story in the news this week that apparently even with the new price hike that goes into effect next month with Xbox, they're still projected to lose between $100 and $130 per unit sold on every Xbox Series X. That's a huge problem to have. The conventional wisdom is if you sell an Xbox at $300, you might make like 14, 20 bucks, something like that off the unit. You know, you want to sell it at basically a break-even cost so you can get people hooked in your ecosystem, subscribe to Xbox Live, buying games and making money off that shit. That's how you make your money. But if you're selling consoles for $800, $900, and you're still losing money on it, you're in a fucking jam right there. And then your platform isn't pushing great games. It's pushing a subscription service that makes you lose money. It's pushing cloud gaming, which costs shit tons of money to operate. I mean, the infrastructure to support and enable cloud gaming is so costly for Microsoft, even if it is their technology, their Azure cloud technology. Like it is so prohibitively expensive. Trust me, Xbox has so much more to gain financially from you going out to the store, buying a box for $500 that they make a slim profit margin off of, subscribing to some service like Xbox Live, which costs them basically nothing to keep online. It's just fucking access to their servers, which costs pennies relative for them to keep going. And then on top of that, every time a game comes out you want to play, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, fucking Control 2, Halo this or Gears that or Fable or Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto 6, God forbid, you go out and you spend $60, $70, $80 on those games one by one, and that's how you run a sustainable business. But selling me a console for $850 that no one buys because it's too expensive and you lose money on it, and now I gotta subscribe to Game Pass and it's $25 a month and it kind of fucking sucks and you make no money off of it and all the games are included, so now you make no money off of that, and then I play all the games and your numbers are so bad sales-wise, all you can tell investors is, well, we had 1.2 million players press the A button within the first 48 hours of the game's release. It's like, great, that means nothing. You're just saying that because it's a big number, because you want an excuse to say a big number to investors, even though big number doesn't result in monies made. It's just useless. Like we're in such a weird time for Xbox. And I know we've kind of been here for a while because Xbox has been dodgy about the way they talk numbers for probably let's be honest, 12 years or so at this point, but it's gotten worse during the Xbox Series generation. And I just think it's just so unhealthy and it's just so useless and futile. And they're speaking to nobody. I can't imagine investors are dumb. I mean, they must be because they still talk this way, right? But the idea that investors are dumb enough to be satiated with that kind of information. Like if I'm a big investor for Microsoft and I'm on a call and I'm listening to them say, well, we launched Halo Campaign Evolved and we had 6 million players melee a grunt within the first 13 hours of the game, I'm going to be like, what the fuck does that mean? How much money did we make? That's all I want to know. How many people bought the game? And that's just not how Xbox talks. I mean, obviously they have those numbers, but they're not saying this stuff. And that's the problem. They're so busy trying to get you to understand that 37 million fucking friends were teabagged in the first 7 days of release. They're so busy trying to get you to watch a stupid ad for some fucking Ozempic-like drug while you wait to play Tomb Raider so you can stare at Lara Croft's butt cheeks. They're so busy trying to get you to do all of these things that aren't buy a video game, play a video game, move on to new video game, that it's like they're so lost in the sauce, man. They're trying to get soccer moms that play Candy Crush to care about Xbox. They're trying to get people in China who don't give a shit about Xbox because they don't care about Western brands. They don't care about Xbox. They just want to play their stupid fucking autoplay mobile games that suck ass. Like, they're trying to get all these people to care. And it's like, instead of trying to get the attention of the people who don't care about you, why not double down on the people that do care about you and be so good at what you do and be so difficult to ignore because of how cool you are, how good you are, how much people that do like you actually like you, that eventually you kind of build your own orbit, and over time people are drawn to you. That was the problem in the Xbox One generation. I say this as someone who loved the Xbox One, but they didn't have an orbit. They didn't have people drawn to them because they were so desperately on their back heel, on their defense, trying to get people back in, that Xbox One was a generation of like, please don't go. Here's a reason to stay, you know? But think about Xbox 360. Xbox 360 was a generation of like, if you're not on Xbox, you fucking suck. Xbox 360 was the generation that would walk into a public, like that would walk into a school and start smoking a cigarette in front of fifth graders because I don't fucking care. That was the Xbox 360. It was cool, man. It didn't care. It wasn't trying to appeal to Japan. It wasn't trying to become free to play to appeal to like third world countries. It wasn't trying to chase trends of like serious hardcore nerds that played fucking anime games and stuff like that. It was just like, hey, Fallout, Dead Space, Gears of War, Halo, Mass Effect, tons and tons of Western first-person shooter, role-playing games, whatever. Super AAA, crazy-ass shit designed by nerds in California with neckbeards. It's like, this is who we are. We embrace it. We're Xbox. Come buy our console. Come shoot some zombies, shoot some aliens, have some fun with your buddies online, make some your mom jokes, drink some Mountain Dew. This is Xbox. And it was cool, and people were drawn to it because at the time it was like, man, they're just kind of like treading their own path, doing their own thing. And I'm cool. I like what this is about. But Xbox is constantly just trying to be like, well, how can we get the Fortnite kids to like us? It's like, dude, fuck the Fortnite kids. You got Fortnite on Xbox. Continue to be a platform that can facilitate that ecosystem. And sure, make your own live service game, whether it be Grounded or Sea of Thieves, and have that stuff. But just like, don't sacrifice everything that made Xbox special to try and get more, you know? Focus on catering to what you had so you don't lose it, you know? Maybe don't put Halo on PlayStation. If you want people to buy an Xbox, maybe don't put Mario Brothers on PlayStation. Do you understand this? Philip P. Henry III Spencer and Company. Do you understand this nonsense? It's just, I don't know, man. Dude, I'm a very good armchair CEO. I think I'd be very good at having ideas and talking shit while actually doing zero work. All right, let's move on because now we're just so far off base at this point. A little wrap up here. There's nothing really to get in here. Two quick things. Ubisoft is continuing to evolve their partnership with Xbox. I think this is a fun get. Pretty cool little thing here. Yeah, so for Xbox Series X and S players, if you own any of the following Ubisoft games, you'll now be able to access those games for free on PC. So basically what they're doing is they're taking a bunch of Assassin's Creed games, but a bunch of Ubisoft games, and they're kind of like retroactively making them Xbox Play Anywhere titles. So if you own on Xbox the following games: Assassin's Creed Mirage, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, Far Cry 6, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Prince of Persia Lost Crown, Riders Republic, Skull and Bones, The Crew 2, Crew Motorfest, Rainbow Six Extraction, Rainbow Six Siege, and lastly, Watch Dogs Legion. If you own any of those games on Xbox, they are now a Play Anywhere game, and you can go to the Xbox app on your PC, and you can download those games for free, which I think is fucking sick. Listen, I'm a huge fan of the Xbox Play Anywhere program. This is the kind of stuff I think Xbox should be doubling down on. A few weeks ago, we talked about the idea of the Xbox 360 was a console that was like a vision statement. It said, what if your console had a dashboard? It could access the internet. You could download games made by small creators. You could download your games. The controller is wireless. Your games don't have to end because creators can make new content and upload to a storefront that you can download and take a game that's 2 years old and expand that game with new additional content. That is the future-proof vision statement, next generation, jaw-dropping moment that made the Xbox 360 a must-play device. Games were HD, games were beautiful, games were interesting and compelling. That's what made that device special. Yes, we've seen diminishing returns over the generations with, games just look great. So it's like, sure, the teraflops are bigger, the ray tracing is shinier, but it's like, who gives a shit, right? We need to look for those features, those things that help build out the platform and make it something that is more future proof, more emboldened of a future of gaming that is more alluring and attractive to players. And I think things like Xbox Play Anywhere are right on the money for Xbox. Like, do I give a shit about streaming games with ads? Do I really want to watch an ad for fucking Ozempic while I'm trying to play a horror game in time for Halloween? No, I really don't give a shit. I don't need Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil to inject himself with like a med stim pack after getting bitten by a zombie and then go, oh, this med pack reminds me of Ozempic, the drug I used to lose 37 pounds last summer. Like, I don't need that in my gaming, but what I do need is for my Xbox library and my PC library to start to blur the lines together of where one starts and one ends, and for Xbox to start to seamlessly bleed into the PC space. I think that's cool. I think it's cool that I can be on my PC playing Doom the Dark Ages, and then I can go lay in bed and continue where I left off on my Xbox ROG Ally, and then I can go downstairs when I want the big screen experience and lay out on the couch and play it on my TV on the Xbox Series X. I think that is a cool next-gen boundary-pushing initiative that Xbox should really lean their elbows into. I really think that's where it's at. I don't need you to be putting Halo on PlayStation, jacking up your console prices, fucking trying to convince my friend's mom that Candy Crush makes her a great candidate for Riders Republic, now available from Ubisoft via the Xbox Game Pass catalog. Like, this is silly. That's silly box. I want Xbox. You know what I'm saying, boy? All right. And then the last little wrap up we have here is just that, unfortunately, Tomb Raider Catalyst has been delayed to 2028. Originally, what are they called? Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which originally supposed to come out this year, and then Catalyst was supposed to come out next year. But now both games have been pushed back. So now Legacy of Atlantis, which is this like reimagining of the first a Tomb Raider game that's like in a continuation of this newer series of Tomb Raider games we've been getting since 2013. That game is now coming out in 2027, in February 12th, 2027, while Tomb Raider Catalyst, which will be a sequel to Legacy of Atlantis, will now be delayed to 2028. So it's whatever, disappointing, but there's so many fucking games coming out. It's like, how could you possibly care? There's just so many games to look forward to. It's like, okay, one more game got delayed. That gives me some time to breathe. That's all I can say to that. But guys, that is it for our news this week. I'm going to keep rolling as we're going a little late here. And I would love to talk to you guys about not what I've been eating, but what I've been playing. So let's talk about that real quick. So we got 2 games here, and I'll make it quick because Halo was the big thing. But the game I've been playing the most, which I'll tell you about, is Splatoon Raiders. Now, obviously, this is a Switch game, not an Xbox game, so we don't have to get too into it. But I will say, man, what a stark contrast. 2 game franchises I absolutely adore, Splatoon and Halo. Brand new entries, one after another. I mean, Splatoon is tasteful. It's clearly built off the bones of Splatoon 3. It seems like a very cost-effective way to make an excellent, brand new, fresh, exciting entry in the Splatoon universe. It is a spin-off, so it's not your traditional multiplayer suite and traditional Splatoon campaign. It is a single-player, no online and other than playing with your friends, but like no online shared service, live service bullshit. It's just a looter shooter in the Splatoon universe, and it's fucking dope, man. It's so good. I'm probably 4 or 5 hours into it. And I fucking love this game. I mean, it is a looter shooter through and through. You go into a level, you go from point A to point B, you kill the fuck out of enemies, you kill hordes, you complete objectives, you take things over, and you unlock loot. And then you go into a higher level dungeon and do it again and again and again. And you level up and you change your gear and you unlock new guns and you customize your guns and then you swap them out for better guns. And you get different outfits with different stats and you swap them out and you get better ones. And then you go back into old dungeons at higher difficulty levels and you do it again. Then you go into new ones and then you do boss battles and you can replay boss battles with different loadouts to get different kinds of loot, and again and again and again. It's helplessly addictive. but it has all the charm and the fun music of a Splatoon game. And it's got quippy writing, and it's goofy and funny like a Splatoon game. And it's an excellent top to bottom Splatoon adventure that I highly, highly recommend. I think Splatoon is mechanically one of the most unique and fun games ever made. And I think this is such a great way. If you're not an online multiplayer game kind of person, but you've always been curious about Splatoon because Nintendo makes good shit, this is a must-play game. For $50, it's a steal, man. It's like 15-hour long game. It's super, super good. And it's a great game that you can play offline, on an airplane, chilling on the couch at home, laying in bed, connected to your TV, wherever the fuck you want. And just, it's got that like Borderlands kind of loop of just like, go in, get some loot, get out, do the next level, go up a level. It's addicting. It's fun. The levels are quick. You're playing levels that go anywhere from like 3 to 15 minutes, depending on the level. And it's always fun to just go one more. Oh, let me just do one more raid. Let me just do one more boss. Let me just do one more run. I really love it. And I love that it's linear and it has story linear in terms of like the game's always telling you what to do next, you know, what level to go into next. And oh, based on my level, I probably shouldn't do that dungeon yet. I should do this one. Then I'll come back to that one when I'm a level higher. And it's always like so cut and clear what you probably want to do next, but you feel like you can approach it a million different ways. But it also is a narrative story experience where you can play through the content from start to finish and get a whole single player adventure out of it. It's a very, very fun game. I cannot recommend it enough. Splatoon Raiders, what a breath of fresh air. How nice it is, you know? And Splatoon really is one of my all-time favorite. I can't believe I was thinking about it. Splatoon as a franchise is, it's 11 years old. The first Splatoon came out in May of 2015 on the Wii U. I remember picking it up the week it came out and how excited I was about a brand new IP from Nintendo. But, Splatoon's not new anymore. It's a well-established IP, and it's a big part of the Nintendo identity. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, wow, it's crazy how in the past 10 years or so, Splatoon really has gone from this brand new, not many people have heard of it or played it yet kind of game to like one of Nintendo's very best. Like for me, when it comes to Nintendo, it's like 3D Mario, Metroid of any kind, Pikmin, and Splatoon. Like to me, like that's the best of Nintendo. Like I'll fucking suck a dick for a new game in any of those series. Like I love Splatoon. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And maybe throw Mario Kart in there or something. But yeah, it is just so fun. And if you have a Switch, if you've ever been curious about Splatoon, I think this is the perfect jumping on point, especially if you're not a multiplayer type of person. It's a great way to enjoy the mechanics and the fun and the world and the writing and the great music of the Splatoon universe without having to deal with what if Nintendo made a Call of Duty game, which isn't really what Splatoon is, but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it is a multiplayer shooter game. So anyway, that game is excellent. Loving that. The other thing is, and I really haven't played it yet, but I booted up Steam because I wanted to check something. I don't remember what it was. And I was immediately hit with this store listing for a game that just released this month called Angels Fall First. I'm like, oh, this is kind of interesting. What is this? Click on it. $17. It's like $16.50 or something. So apparently this is this game that has been in development for the better part of 12 years or something like that. I think it's been in development since 2014. And it started as like this fan mod of like Quake and something else. And I guess it got the attention of Epic Games in some way and ended up getting this like big grant from Epic Games to go and fuck off and do a lot of development of this game and kind of go make it a real thing. And so this game has been in some form of early access for a long ass time. It's developed and published by this one-off team called Strangely Interactive. And apparently there is a small but, fervent community that's been playtesting and helping this game come along over the past 10 years or so. And what it is basically this PC first-person shooter that it just, dude, in the best way. I was talking earlier in the year about games that make me so nostalgic in this way. It looks like an early to mid 2000s first-person shooter. It has such a nostalgic PC first-person shooter, old school vibe to it. But it is this sci-fi first-person shooter, and it takes heavy inspiration from, a lot of games. A lot of like the gunplay and stuff feels like Halo. A lot of the aesthetic feels like Halo or Killzone or something like that. But it also feels a lot like Battlefield and Battlefront. I'm talking old school Battlefield, old school Battlefront. There are tons of different modes. You can play smaller scale stuff. You can play against bots and stuff. That's the stuff I'm more drawn to. But like its flagship modes are like this tactical firefight, whatever they call mode, where like you can start off in a starship, and then you can get, you're like in a first person shooter, whatever. And then you can get into a ship and fly into space and start dogfighting people in spaceship combat. Then you can like land back on the planet and get into like regular on foot, like squad combat, like Battlefield. And then there's also like other types of vehicles and shit like that. And it's absolutely just out of this world, like super, super dynamic, super advanced, huge maps, huge ways to play. And the combat kind of feels like Halo meets Battlefield meets Star Wars Battlefront, but like old Star Wars Battlefront, not like new Battlefield inspired Star Wars Battlefront. And it's just so fucking cool. It kind of feels like that Galactic Conquest mode from Battlefront on like PSP and PS2 brought forward into Battlefield, like a modern Battlefield game, but with Halo influence. And it's just really, really interesting. All I've done is I watched a ton of videos online and played through the tutorials, and then I downloaded it. I wanted to test out the ROG Ally, so I downloaded it on there, and I'm immediately having button mapping issues, so I'm like, fuck that. So I'm just going to play it on PC, but between this, Halo Campaign Evolved, and Splatoon Raiders, I am very enticed, distracted, and excited to play all three of these games. But I look forward to playing a lot more of this and reporting back. But yeah, I mean, Angels Fall First is the name of the game. It is $16 on Steam. It finally came out in a 1.0 version, so it's like a fully released game. Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. It's $18. It's an $18 game. But after 10 to 12 years of lots of like development and playtesting and stuff, it is technically like properly available now, and I'm just super excited for a chance to really play it. Ground vehicle, space fighting, and on ground boots combat, whatever. Yeah, hopefully this game finds a decent audience, because I really want to see them succeed with this, and I really look forward to playing it. I tried to guilt trip my nephews and Cronky into playing with me, and I was very unsuccessful in doing that. But that being said, yeah, that's it for what I have been playing this week, you guys. Now it is time to round out the show with the best, the final, the last segment, the comments. You know how it works. You go to youtube.com/the Xbox On Podcast. You click on the latest episode and drop a comment, say whatever the hell you feel like saying, and we'll read it here on the show. Let me take a water break and we will get right into that. All right, guys, our first comment comes in. It's a double header from Mr. Cronky, who writes in and says, I agree with you. And this is all in no particular order, by the way, but he says, I agree with you. Boycotting specific games is bad because of Microsoft. It's pointless. Let me read it again. Boycotting specific games because of Microsoft is pointless/bad. Causing further layoffs of the teams you love helps no one. Voting with your dollar isn't a thing that actually works. It just promotes inaction. No matter how much I hate Asha, I will be buying the new Obsidian Fallout game. When you hate Asha, I mean, listen, we don't have to get into all of that, but listen, I just don't think it works anymore. I don't think the people have the power, and I just think that corporations are too big and too far-reaching for people to really be able to do anything about any of it. Yeah, I mean, I guess the best you could do if you really want to vote with your wallet in this case would be buy Fallout on PC, buy Fallout on PlayStation. Don't buy Fallout on Xbox, because that way you're supporting the game, you're supporting the developer, but you're saying, Xbox, fuck you as a console manufacturer, fuck you as a brand, I'm just here for this game, I hate you. That's probably the best you can do, unless you really want to rob yourself of Fallout just because, God forbid, you end up liking any kind of intellectual property or piece of entertainment. It's just a matter of time before some shitty corporation ends up buying it out and being the owner of it. I mean, imagine how many people hated the Walt Disney Company and then they bought Star Wars and like, fuck, now I gotta give Disney money because I'm a big Star Wars fan. It's like, well, what can you do? Capitalism has to win. But Cronky continues on and says, I love to see the backwards compatible games coming to PC, but this is like the final nail in the coffin for me. Conquer and a few other games were literally my last reason for having an Xbox console. If they expand this program enough, I will run out of excuses to keep my Xbox around. That is fine. I would definitely recommend, worst case scenario, put the Xbox in a box and put it in storage and forget about it. But I would just, whatever you do, don't sell the Xbox, because you never know how things are going to play out and how you might feel in a couple of years. But yeah, man, I really don't think there's anything wrong with Xbox going all in on making the Xbox experience on PC just as good as the Xbox experience on console. I think there should be a very synonymous, a very seamless transitional feel between the two, where it feels great to own an Xbox in your living room and a PC in your office, and to be able to seamlessly play between those two spaces through your Xbox library. So if we lose, and I know there are people who listen to the show who have mentioned they have done it already, if people lose, if Xbox loses people from the console space to PC, that's great. What you're fighting for is the people who want to be in the console space, to get them on your Xbox hardware and hold on to them. Or the people like me who want to have multifaceted ways to engage with their library, because they want to have the handheld and the console, and they wouldn't mind also having access on the PC and all that stuff. Like, that's excellent. The more the merrier. You have more ways of getting your brand out there. I just don't think, I think it's cool if McDonald's starts selling a chicken sandwich, but I don't think McDonald's needs to start selling pizza. It's like, stay in your lane to some extent. So like, I think there's a natural evolution of Xbox expanding to PC. I think Xbox putting their games on PlayStation is a betrayal of who they are. That's like selling enchiladas at McDonald's. It's like, why don't you just be Xbox? Why don't you just do what you're supposed to do? Why don't you stay in your lane? Why don't you go be good at what you're supposed to be good at, instead of just trying to mildly fail at everything all at once? It's just, I don't know. But I'm glad to see that people are excited about this. And if it loses console players to PC, that's fine. I mean, a Windows PC playing Xbox games on there, that's ostensibly an Xbox. It just needs a better user experience, which it's getting there. It's improved a lot in the past year alone, but it's not there yet. Objects in Space writes in and says, I tried Forza Horizon 6 and Indiana Jones on PC Game Pass. I was able to run 4K on ultra settings, but was limited with what I could do with ray tracing. I went into wanting to somewhat future-proof my experience and get the most out of games that I could. When I had the PC built, I didn't understand the limitations with some of the components. I went down the rabbit hole and went completely overboard. I took the PC back to the shop and did some pretty decent upgrades. Luckily, the guy was happy to swap out the parts. I just paid the difference. For the CPU, I went with an AMD Ryzen 5 and to a Ryzen 9. Hey, I have a Ryzen 5. You silly boy. Oh no, I have a Ryzen 7, but I have an older Ryzen 7, so whatever. You went to a Ryzen 9 and went from 16 gigabytes of RAM to 32. Then I swapped the RTX 5070 for an RTX 5080, and now it's a beast of a machine. It cost a small fortune, which was hard enough to stomach, but I have no problems maxing every setting. Red Dead Redemption 2 looks great on console, but the max settings on PC, it looks absolutely incredible. Even played around with some mods. I don't have infinite spending money, so I had to compromise somewhere. I'm limited to 60 FPS games I'm limited to 60 FPS as the highest refresh rate. 4K monitor is very expensive, but I still think it looks super great. And I don't want to play twitchy multiplayer games, so I don't really care that much. I'm still using my console, but I'm sure I'll use the PC far more as time goes on. Exciting times. Well, Objects in Space, I'm really happy for you. I can feel the excitement in your write-in about your ventures getting into the PC space, and I'm happy to see that you're having fun with it and you're enjoying it. And hey, one of the great things about, I think, particularly with PC gaming, is how it can kind of like always be this project where you're always working towards the next thing. It's never finished, It's very much like this it's the live service of gaming hardware, Like an Xbox is like a 12-hour story-driven single-player game. It's like you buy it, you use it till you're done, and then you move on to the next one. But a PC is like, it's like Fortnite. It's like, oh, let me go back and upgrade this. Let me get a new monitor. Let me get a new mouse pad. Let me upgrade the RGB. Let me change the RAM and upgrade the RAM. So there's always some bullshit you could be doing, whether it's some aesthetic thing for your desk setup or whether it's something to increase the power output of the device itself. There's always some fun to be had with the PC. So I think it's cool, man. And don't worry if you don't have the 4K monitor right now, you can always just get that down the road, but you already have the PC that can support it. So you're cool, man. You're future proofed. I totally respect that. I personally, when it comes to like my PC stuff, like I bought something that was somewhat like, it was like a low high end or high mid end PC, kind of what I bought. Cause my thing is, it's like, we're at the point where like games are just kind of what they are. Like a brand new game can come out tomorrow, and I know my 5-year-old PC can run it no problem. Can it run it at 4K, 120 FPS? No problem. Absolutely not. But it can run the game at 60 FPS, 1080p, no problem. Pretty much any game that comes out. Because we're just at that point now where you don't have to buy a new PC every 3 years because, you know, graphics keep making these quantum leaps forward. And so I love my PC. I had a similar experience with you where I was like, this is fun. Like I bought something that feels kind of future proof. Like I don't care about my PC having ray tracing, 120 FPS, 4K. So as someone who's just looking for 60 FPS, 1080p, my PC is like kind of future proof. I've had it for 5 years. I haven't had to do a single fucking thing to it. And when a game comes out, like Battlefield 6, I don't even question whether or not I can run it. The game just runs great on my PC. It's fucking awesome, man. PC gaming has come a long way. It really has gone from like, you need to upgrade constantly in order to keep up with the new games that are coming out. It's kind of gone from that to like, you can always be upgrading if you want to really push the limits of how a game can look and run on your rig. But really, you don't have to have that expensive of a rig if you just want to have games look and run pretty good on your, you know, mid-range rig. And I think that's pretty awesome. It makes PC gaming a lot less daunting, a lot less intimidating. And, you know, I was hearing David Jaffe, who I sometimes mention, the God of War developer who does his own YouTube stuff. I was hearing him mention on a YouTube video I was watching of his where he's like, there's a huge like misconception about PC gaming where like this old stigmatism has just kind of followed it for so long. And I really actually agreed with what he said as someone who has gotten a lot more into PC gaming, especially the last year, but a little bit over the past 5 years or so, which is that, you know, there's a stigma that like, oh, PC gaming is so intimidating. You got to update your drivers. Games have all these configurations. They're so finicky and touchy. Yes, to some extent, PC objectively has more of that than Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo will ever have. Like, there's no doubt the seamlessness, the pick up and play nature, the ease of just popping on my Nintendo Switch, downloading the game, playing it on the go, dropping it in the dock, picking up on my TV right where I left off. You know, that's a seamless, easy experience that cannot be beat. But that being said, PC gaming is so much more streamlined, simplistic, easy to understand, easy to pull off these days compared to where it was, especially like 20 years ago. I mean, like if a game needs like some driver update, the game usually tells you, and then it links you to the driver, and then you click on the driver, then it downloads, then you restart the game, it initiates the new driver, and then you're good to go. That's kind of how it works. So more often than not, I find PC gaming to feel relatively plug and play, you know, relative to what it was 10, 20 years ago. But yeah, man, it's again, I'm happy to see people like finding a thing. I think it's cool to put your money where your mouth is and say like, I feel like I got to kind of step away from the Xbox hardware to some extent, and then go find something else like PC gaming or something. Go get down that rabbit hole, enjoy it. And you can always play your Xbox stuff there or come back to Xbox if and when the time feels right for you. I think that's cool, and I encourage the hell out of it, man. So Objects in Space, continue to keep us posted on your PC gaming adventures. I hope you have a great week, man. Decoy Doctopus writes in and says, you shouldn't feel obligated to talk about what you've been eating every week. Sporadically talking about what you like is enough. I've tried many of the things that you liked, mostly fast food. Well, that just makes me feel deeply uncomfortable. First of all, I think it's very nice of you to say that. I'm glad you enjoyed the segment. I really thought someone would have written about it. So someone finally did. I appreciate it, Decoy Octopus. Yeah, I am just going to kind of do it on an as feels necessary basis. I thought there was something this past week I wanted to mention, but I honestly can't remember it right now. My diet's been kind of fucking out of whack lately because my girlfriend and I are usually pretty disciplined about our diet. It's usually pretty much like Monday through Friday. We're doing a lot of like meal planning. We grocery shop on Sunday. And then we're kind of like, you know, it's like, oh, Monday is chicken and rice. Tuesday is like fish and rice. Wednesday is like steak and rice. Thursday is like, you know, it's a lot of rice, veggies, protein, but you know, whatever the hell. Sometimes I'll make pasta or I'll make sandwiches or whatever, but it's very much like buy groceries over the weekend, meal plan for the week, have those meals throughout the week, home cooked food, that kind of thing. And then maybe on like Saturday night or something, you spoil yourself, you order pizza or you go out to a restaurant or something like that. But for the most part, we're pretty disciplined on these things. But the past couple weeks, we've just had so many people in and out. My nephew visited, my girlfriend's family, just all these different people. And it's been great. Like, don't get me wrong, but God, it's like our diets have been so fucked. I swear to God, we both put on probably so much weight just having everything flipped upside down. I know I've just eaten so much more ice cream and junk food than I normally would have eaten by this point. But it's been fun, but like, I don't know, man, like the point I'm getting at is like what I've been eating is just so it's just a blur of trans fats and carbohydrates at this point. I couldn't fucking tell you what I've been eating. And I honestly am too ashamed to tell you what I've been eating. My doctor would spank my little tushy if he found out. But I don't know, joking aside, I mean, well, yeah, I that's what I plan on doing. Like if it's fun to talk about, there's something goofy enough worth saying, sure, we'll throw it in there, but I'm not going to force it because you get to a point where eventually it's like, here's what I've been eating: Quaker Oats, rice cakes, it's like, like this isn't fun. But anyway, thank you for writing in, Decoy Doctopus. I hope you're having a wonderful week and you're enjoying yourself some Halo, perhaps. Zeke writes in, Zeke got huge. My little Zekey poo. He writes in, what a honor. What a pleasant surprise to see you. He says, it sucks you never got to play Lawbreakers. It was an amazing game. I wish more people gave it a chance. Also, glad to see that the food you've been eating segment came back. Oh, thank you, Zekey poo. I've been eating lots of cheeseburgers with peanuts on them. If you're Zekey poo, you'll catch the reference. If you're not, you're stupid. Yeah, man, I have a lot of regret about not having experienced Lawbreakers. That's what sucks about these kinds of games. It's like, they really are just like ephemeral. It's like, wow, this game existed and now it doesn't exist. It's not like some old PC game where like you can find some ROM of it somewhere on the internet or anything like that. It's like Lawbreakers is just fucking gone. It's so weird. But yeah, it looked great. I've seen a lot of, in hindsight, I've watched a lot and read a lot about that game, and I can tell it probably was a Jesse game. It looked really good. But anyway, Cargo Runner has the final comment of the week and says, great show. Think you hit the nail on the head. You're right about the Xbox 360. It was an exciting vision statement. It would be amazing if they did make the Helix a completely new vision statement for Xbox. Guess we keep our fingers crossed. I think that the Fallout announcement was not for us gamers. It didn't give us any details to get excited about. The announcement was just a list of products so that shareholders think that there are billions of dollars in sales coming into the Xbox ecosystem in the near future. That's an excellent point, and you're probably right. I mean, I think that announcement was a little bit for everyone. I think it was a little bit to be like, hey, if we make it public, then Bethesda has to stick to it. Fuck you, Todd Howard. You do what we say you're going to do. I think it was a little bit of that. It was a little bit of like quelling expectations of fans and telling people like, hey, we know the TV show's popular. We know you guys want Fallout. Here's the Fallout we're going to give you. But then I think you're also right. Yeah, it's like telling shareholders like, hey, don't worry about Obsidian not making money anymore. They're going to print money once they make a Fallout game. And so, I think there's multiple reasons why. But yeah, that announcement was a lot less about like, now's the perfect time to let you know we're working on a Fallout game. Here's a trailer. It was a lot less about something like that and a lot more about like, all right, we've been running these studios all wrong. Here's what we're going to start building to kind of promise to you guys that we're going to get on the right track and make sure all these teams are working on something that is going to churn money out like butter. But yeah, I think your nails on that. As for the top part of your comment, I got to be honest with you, man. The idea of Helix being this vision statement for Xbox, I don't think that Project Helix is going to be the device that Sarah Bond was teasing, because the difference in Xbox administrations, but maybe more importantly, the difference in the realities of the hardware market just doesn't make sense. I mean, if Xbox is losing $120 on every Xbox Series X they sell, and they're selling it at like $800 to $900, you cannot make a top of the line, high end gaming PC console hybrid device. You fucking can't. I think Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer were very much like, let's make the most powerful console hybrid gaming whatever device and throw it out there in the market and say, this is the top of the line for the most hardcore fan. But that administration was very big on power, power, power. I think Asha's team is a lot more like, whoa. Let's look for ways for modern technology and AI to take some of the computational power out of the device so you can get a powerful, robust experience in a package that is substantially less expensive. And maybe we need to rethink the way we're going to do this PC console hybrid thing, because if you sell an Xbox that has a Steam storefront on it, you're just begging people to give all your money to Steam. Case in point, I have an Xbox ROG Ally. I play about 50% of my games on the ROG Ally on Steam and the other 50% on Xbox. If the device could only play Xbox games, I'd probably be playing more games on Xbox and fewer games on Steam. It's just that simple. But yeah, I mean, remember like this. Towards the end of the Xbox original generation, there was a lot of this push for Xbox Live, but Xbox Live was this weird, it was this kit you bought. It was $50 and it came with a headset and it came with a remote and it came with a subscription and it came with a keyboard or whatever. It all came with a disc or whatever. And when you wanted to get DLC for Halo 2, you had to buy a disc, and it was just all this random shit. But it was this precursor to like, what if Xbox was this gateway to this online ecosystem of gaming? And then the 360 came out, and that was the true fruition of that idea. It was like the internet is built into it, or you buy this dongle for it, and then later it was built in. I don't remember. Or I do remember that is how it went. And then, but it was like, here's a dashboard, and you don't have to put a disc in to go online, and you can just, it's built into the console, and you can go online and you can download content from a digital storefront that's built into the console's hardware, and it has its own operating system. It's basically its own little computer device dedicated to gaming and gaming related activities, right? And I feel like they can do something similar with Helix, where right now Xbox has this nascent like, oh, it's play anywhere, and your PC is your Xbox library, and your Xbox library is your PC library, and whatever, and these things are synonymous, and this is like a thing we're pushing for. And I feel like if Helix can be this PC but also this console experience, and can really take the notion of play anywhere and blurring the lines between console and PC and take it a step way further and make it way more of its core identity of the console and build it into its foundation and its operating system, I think that could be a boundary pushing next generation kind of approach for the console. And then I think, you know, the thing Asha teases about wanting to do, which is taking some of the computational power, the things that make the console expensive as a hardware piece, and try to offload it as like things that are streamed or AI enhanced, so that you can sell the console at a better price while still offering a similar performance. I know people aren't going to love the way that sounds on paper, but they got to figure it out, because at the end of the day, Microsoft does not have the negotiating power that someone like Apple has, that someone like Samsung has. They cannot go to the manufacturers in China and Vietnam and be like, we need to negotiate a better rate for chips. We need to negotiate a better rate for hardware manufacturing. They can't. They are small player in the grand scheme of things. And costs have shot up like crazy for everyone, including Apple, including Samsung. You can only imagine how difficult and cost prohibitive it's become for companies like Microsoft, that are huge companies, but they just don't dabble in enough hardware to be that much of a priority for these hardware manufacturers. And I think that's kind of the position they find themselves in. And so the more you can, you know, lean on AI and cloud and computational power from other sources, the better you can position your device in terms of its price and its appealingness to general audiences. Because otherwise, if you're trying to build this hybrid console PC thing, and it's the most powerful thing ever, and it's all internal components, good fucking luck. You're going to be charging $3,000 for this device. Like, it's just, I think they're currently reworking Helix to be, in a lot of ways, something very different from what we currently understand it to be. And I am pretty optimistic and curious about what that ends up being, but we don't know, man. I mean, I assume this thing is more in R&D than we think, despite the fact that it's allegedly only about a year out. But that's just me. I'm always rooting for Xbox to do something cool, and for them to, you know, I don't think they're going to beat PlayStation. I think those days are long gone. I think the opportunity there is long over, but I'm always rooting for them to have a success, to really carve out a place at the table for them, and to, you know, reclaim some of what they lost. And so I'll always be there rooting and hoping for the best. But in the meantime, fuck it, go play Halo on PlayStation. Why the hell not? But guys, it's going to do it for this week's show. I gotta, you know, I'm losing my voice. I'm tired here. So I'm going to wrap it up, edit this motherfucker, and get it out for you guys. And then next week, I look forward to talking more about Halo and seeing that Gears of War E-Day multiplayer overview. So yeah, that'll be cool. Guys, have a great week. Be well, be good, be healthy, be safe. Until next week, power your dreams.